It is 6 o'clock on Tuesday, August 19th, 2025, and I'd like to call this meeting of the Sugar Grove Village Board to order. We will now say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we can have roll call, please, Tracy.
President Stilwell?
Here.
Trustee Lindy?
Here.
Trustee Bonnie?
Here.
Trustee Special?
Here.
Trustee London?
Here.
Trustee Russ?
Here.
We have a quorum tonight.
Oh, Trustee Michaels?
Thank you.
There is no public hearing, proclamations, or presentations this evening. The next item is appointments. We have the recommendation to appoint Robert Ramondi to the Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals with a term ending May 1st, 2028. We will now open the item for discussion. If it's okay, I would like to speak first and just give a few reasons why I appointed Bob. He has worked in engineering since 1973. He has experience in structural design, field surveying, plot plans, and construction management. In his application, he stated he would prioritize addressing changes at the beginning of a proposed development process to move Sugar Grove forward in a positive direction. And he said he stated he would avoid what appears to be predetermined outcomes to proposed agenda items, even though there may have been information presented that would require further study of the situation. Sorry, I had a hard time reading my own writing here. His analysis was apparent in his analytical skills, desire to consider all information, and desire to move Sugar Grove in a positive direction is what I saw in his application that made me choose that applicant. Are there any other trustees that would like to discuss the item?
I'd like to say something.
Yes.
I'm not in favor of this candidate that you put forth, because looking through the other candidates, I think we have a much better fit with some of the other candidates to balance the Plan Commission board. The Plan Commission board should not be made up of all technical architect, engineering people, and that's speaking as an architect. You need a variety of professions and experiences to be on the board to represent all of the community. I think right now we have a zoning code enforcer, Becky Sabo, that's her profession, is in the code department. We have an architect on there. We have a retired construction superintendent on there. We have somebody from a long time volunteer but worked at KDOT, and then we have someone who sails from a steel company. I think Rachel Rockwell is the only one that doesn't seem to have that engineer and building industry in there. I think we'd be better off to balance the board with some of the other applicants that have a real estate or an attorney background, or somebody who's been, like Marie Johnson, or somebody who's been who knows the village very well and the history of the village. So, like I said, having been on the Plan Commission and knowing that you don't want all the technical people on the Plan Commission, you need to have a good mix of occupations and experiences.
Thank you. Are there any other discussion? Or is there any other discussion?
I'm more in favor of somebody that's not from the north end of the village and would be from another part of the village. I think with Rachel Rockwell, John, and there's one other representative from the north end that I apologize, the qualifications are great, but I just think we need more diverse board geographically throughout the village.
All right. Is there any other discussion?
That's Madam President down here.
I have a question. Did you interview all the applicants?
I did not interview all of the applicants.
Did you interview any of the applicants?
I asked one applicant one additional question because it was, like the application I received, the answers weren't thorough, so I had an additional question, and it was answered.
So no in-person, just to clarify, there's no in-person interviews for any of the applicants?
Correct.
Telephone interviews for any of the applicants?
I have no knowledge that that was done historically. Can you give me an example of when previous, and maybe Sean could address, but was there any time there was an open planning commission application and each interview was, each applicant was interviewed in person?
Not in the last 2 years that I know of.
But with respect, I understand that the question isn't what was done in the past, the question is what's being done currently. You're a new leader in a current position. This is a new makeup of the board, so I don't like to get hung up on the past. So I just want to clarify, there was no phone interviews that were done, and there was no in-person interviews that were done. So you picked somebody to go on the planning commission based solely off of the applications that were presented, is that correct?
Yes, with the exception of actually two people I had clarifying questions that I wanted to ask. So those two people, one I did ask an additional question by phone, and then the other I did ask an additional question by email. So if the applications had thorough answers, for example, Mr. Ramondi, his application was very thorough. If there was very little information given, I didn't want to just rule out an applicant, and so I asked them an additional question. So I do feel like I got a good idea of each application.
In the future, I would probably highly recommend like having meetings with each person and bring them in and really get a feel for them. What to put down on paper sometimes isn't translated over into actually how they feel or how they speak or their thoughts. It's very easy to deceive people on paper. I would just recommend in the future with such a prestigious position that has a lot of very tough decisions to be made, to take some time and meet with these people that actually have shown interest in positions and volunteer positions within our community. So that's my first thought on this, and then I just have a really hard time looking through those applications and coming across Pat Kinley's, who's also not a resident in town. However, his resume is leaps and bounds above all the others. He's an attorney, he specializes in zoning cases in Kane and Kendall. He litigated zoning cases, special use cases, enforcement of zoning ordinances and appeals. And this is exactly what the position holds and how we look over him. And he also doesn't live in town, which I knew was very important to you. I'm sure you have your reasons. I just have a hard time, with you not doing the interviews on anybody and then just going off the paperwork, approving who you put in front of us today. So I just encourage you in the future to maybe try a little bit harder and work a little bit one-on-one with people to see if we get the best qualified candidate response.
I do agree that I should find out about people as much as possible. I did meet Mr. Ramondi. Actually, we were both at the Corn Boil. He was working with the car show. I was volunteering, so it isn't as if I never met this person before. And then I was also familiar with some of the other candidates, but I do agree we should, learn as much about each candidate as possible. Is there any other discussion? All right. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to appoint Robert Ramondi to the Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals with a term ending May 1st, 2028? Can we have the roll call, please, Tracy?
We need a motion in a second first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
And is there a second?
I'll make a second.
Can I have the roll call, please, Tracy?
Trustee Roscoff?
Aye.
Trustee Michaels?
No.
Trustee Lundy,
No.
Trustee Bonnie?
No.
Trustee Special?
No.
Trustee London?
No.
The noes have it, and the recommendation to appoint Robert Ramondi to the Planning Commission Zoning Board of Appeals has not been passed at this time. Up next, we have the airport report. Do you have anything to report today, Tony?
Yeah, we did have a meeting, and something that the village is going on with is IDOT, and they've actually lost a bunch of projects because they haven't gotten their approval from IDOT to move forward. So they've had contractors actually cancel projects because it's over the allotted time. So there were a couple things that were going to be done, paving and that at the airport and things like that, but a generator and other stuff, but most of that isn't going to go forward at this point because of the delay. Other than that, they're still looking at the sign for the airport. Obviously, with the new administration, they're not exactly sure if they're going to move forward with the sign that they were talking about before. So other than that, there really wasn't anything else.
Thank you. Next, we have public comment on scheduled action items. Tonight, we have one person signed up for a public comment. Dan,
Yes.
did you want to step up at this time?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Dan, and I'm here to talk about our monthly water bill. Now, unlike most people, some people in the village, I have a sprinkler system that I run from May to the end of October, and it runs every other day. And I have a pool, which I have to, once in a while, fill with water. So my water bill is probably substantially higher than people that don't use water like that. My concern is my water bill, or my water usage, and the water usage and the sewer usage is relatively the same. So my first two bills of the summer months, my sewer usage was $335 to take my water from my house to a collection spot somewhere in the village where it goes. So I get a Fox Metro bill for the same, exactly the same period, because Fox Metro gets their reading from the village. My Fox Metro bill was $401, so it was higher than the village. But Fox Metro is taking it from the collection agency area, taking it all the way down to Montgomery, and then they're treating it. They're doing a lot more. Well, if I call Fox Metro and say that I have a sprinkler system and a pool, they send me a new bill out, and the new bill is credited to me. So when I get the bill from Fox Metro, they knock off $280. So my bill from $400 goes to $113. That's a lot of money because they credit me every 2 months in the summer months. So I call the village water department and say, hey, I'm paying $335 for water that's not going down the sewer. They refer me to Fox Metro. I go, well, I know Fox Metro gives me a bill. That's a separate bill. They go, well, we don't give you a credit. So for 2 months, I paid $335 that didn't go down to Fox Metro. So my concern, or why does Fox Metro give me a credit, but the village can't? So I don't know, maybe it's an oversight on the village, but I really don't understand. That's all I got. That's all I want to say.
I believe we are.
Yeah, there's a discussion item today about utility billing. It's going to be during the discussion items section of today's meeting. So it will be discussed. Thank you, sir.
All right. There is no one else at this time scheduled up for public comment. Up next, we have the consent agenda.
Do you want to check if anybody has comments?
Yes, and is there anyone else that did not sign up for public comment that would like to speak? Did you say yes?
Pardon?
Did you say yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can start.
I have 4, but we'll eliminate it down to 2 real quick. A couple of years ago, they were building a house next to me at 620 Sheffield, and it was kind of disaster the whole time. And it just went on and finally it was completed. For a year and a half, there was never any protection around the hole in the ground, and it was that way for the entire 2 years. Well, one morning my daughter had a medical emergency and I had to get up early. It was like 4:30 in the morning, and I went down there and I fell across some rebar twice, and then there was a car parked across the sidewalk and I hit that head first. Well, needless to say, I've been through $120,000 worth of medical bills. And that day, since my daughter, I didn't go to the doctor for 2 days, which was a mistake because I also take Eliquis, and that's the first thing you're supposed to do. But I didn't, and I stopped 2 police cars that day that went by, and it was still the rebar laying across. There was also a skid steer 2 chrome pallet, and that was there also. So, you know, when I slipped and fell, you know, it was just bad. I talked to the police, and they said the police, I think it's your section 2-1 and 2-2 have to do with parking across the sidewalk also. It's a American Disability Act, you're not supposed to, and you know, we can do anything you want about that. But the police said they weren't gonna take care of it. I asked them if they'd file a report. They said no and drove off. This is 2 police cars. And I eventually talked to the chief, and he said, we have decided we're not gonna do that. And then I found further, Mallard Point, I guess, has been doing the same thing since 2017. I'm not aware of that, I just happened to find it. But it's kind of, you know, and then the police chief said, well, the police report doesn't mean anything. Well, I talked to 5 lawyers who said it did. So I was never able to go to the court. Fortunately, my insurance handled most of this, but I'd hate to see somebody else, you know, be in the same situation. And I talked to Public Works 3 times and about other things there, and they said, well, you have to call it in. Well, I always see on the news, it says if you see it, report it. And in situations where I used to work, if I didn't report something I thought was a safety hazard, I would probably get fired. And then also, I've been a certified lead auditor for ISO 9001 all over the world. If I saw a safety hazard and gave people opportunity to fix it, and they didn't, they'd fail a whole, and I'm talking plants that were 400, 500 square foot all over the world. So they, you know, they take first thing on mission statement, and most of these places where safety came up first. And that's the way it should be. I don't know how many of you worked in a manufacturing facility, but also as a technical liaison for in Mexico and China, startup of facilities and everything. So that's kind of my area, and I just think it should be better taken care of and addressed. Also along this case, on 9/4 of 22, like a week before I fell, there was a certificate of occupation, and all these things were sitting there. To me, if I see rebar on the sidewalk and a skid steer pallet, I mean, that's a safety hazard, and I don't see how anybody could give a certification for occupancy of a house, but that's my opinion.
I'm sorry that happened to you, and
Oh, can I just say one thing? Real
sure.
quick. I was bit by a dog on June 5th last year. And I called the police. There was a report. I didn't get a report till August 2nd, but I'd gone to the doctor, a medical emergency, and
If possible, if you could email me some of these, I can look into
okay,
that.
all I had to say is, when I went to they reported it to Kane County Animal Control,
Mhm.
this animal was not up to date on its rabies shot.
Okay.
And I found out 10 days afterwards, I called Kane County health department, and they said if the dog's not dead, you're not dead, you don't have to worry about it.
I'm sorry that happened to you as well.
Well, you know, it shouldn't happen. It's just people don't follow reports.
Sir, can I get your name for the record?
Bill Kelly.
Thank you.
Yes,
If I can make a comment.
yes. Can you state your name?
Jaden Chadda.
Thank you.
I just wanted to comment about the non-appointment of Robert Ramondi to the Planning Commission. You know, I appreciate from Trustee Bonnie the amount of standards that should be followed in a process like this. However, in the past, with the last village president, there were no standards. She gave the excuse, well, I didn't even have to open the applications to anybody. I can appoint who I want per village code. So President Stillwell was generous enough to open up the applications. Now, what Trustee Lundy said, that she would rather see somebody in a different specialty. That's a very valid opinion, and I don't fault her for that. But what I would fault the board for is appointing somebody that doesn't have any expertise whatsoever, and then wanting a non-engineer for the next vacant position. You guys appointed Rachel Rockwell, which according to Trustee Lundy, doesn't have any applicable expertise in this situation for the Planning Commission. So why are you holding this specific seat to a higher standard when you appointed another planning commissioner who doesn't have any applicable experiences for that position? Personally, I believe it's because President Stillwell was the person to recommend this person's appointment. It's kind of a shame because the seat has been vacant for 3 months now. So now we have to go through another application, or however President Stillwell handles it. But it really is a shame that this has gone down this road, and I personally feel like it's just because it was President Stillwell that recommended this appointment. And another engineer on the Planning Commission, why is that a bad thing, really, when you have somebody that doesn't have experience at all? And again, I just wanted to point out that it's kind of two-faced to hold President Stillwell to higher expectations than the last mayor who said, I can just appoint whoever I want. Thank you.
Thank you. On that item, I just have one more thing to say. Each time I appoint someone, I'm hearing names of people suggested over and over, like I'd rather have this person, I'd rather have this person, and it seems like an attempt to force me to choose someone. And the unfortunate part, I will not choose someone that I don't feel is the right fit for the seat, and we're really losing out on some good candidates. Robert Ramondi would have been a great fit, and I feel it's a loss to our community.
President Stillwell, are you opening it up for discussion again?
Yes, if you'd like to, please, go ahead.
Sure. I'd like to say that I in no way said that Rachel Rockwell was not qualified. I said that everyone has different skill sets, and my comment was you don't want a whole bunch of engineers and technical people on there because you need a well-balanced. If you have a real estate agent, you're going to get the information from them on how it's going to affect. If you get an attorney, you're going to get that. Aspect of legally. If you get somebody who's a community volunteer, you're going to get who doesn't have any technical skills as far as reading plans. That's fine, but the village is not made up of engineers and architects. You need to get a representation of what the village is made up of. And that was what my point was. And I will also like to say, we did appoint one that you appointed, that you put forth, did we not?
You did, yes, you did accept Mr. Earhart.
So apparently it is not because who you appoint, we vote down. That is an incorrect statement. I will also state that the former village president at I believe it was when the architects that was on the board, that was pretty much, here are all the applicants, and the whole village board looked through them all, and they pretty much, it was a vote. It was not, I will vote who I want. But yes, you can appoint whoever, you can present for a presentation to appoint whoever you like. But we do get a vote, and we'll vote however we think is best to fill that position for the village.
Trustee Lindy, could you clarify that statement about previous, under the other administration, how appointments were made? I never.
I said one of them, I believe it was the architect, when we did that. I don't know if you were on the board at the time, Trustee Michaels, but Trustee Bonnie, I believe you were. We were given a bunch of different applications, and we looked through them, and we all kind of said who we thought would be a good fit. And
This is for the Plan Commission?
Yes, I believe the Beards, the architect. Because I remember we all were looking at that, and our opinions were all asked on that. Do you remember that, Trustee Bonnie?
I don't recall specifically, but what I do recall is that we're here as a board, and our board is to do what's best for the village as well. And clearly today, 5 out of the 6 of us all felt the same. So to kind of point fingers, I think is a little bit inappropriate. I think what the decision has been made. I think we're excited to see who else gets put back on for the next one, and I'm hoping that as the president said, what's best fit for the village, hopefully the next person is what's the best fit for the village, and that we get that person passed through.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. If we could have a motion to discuss the consent agenda in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay. And do we have a second?
Second.
Tonight for approval on the consent agenda, we have the approval of the July 15th, 2025 Village Board meeting minutes, approval of the vouchers, approval of the July 2025 Treasurer Report, a resolution approving a revised 2025 meeting schedule and a relocation of meeting venues due to the police department renovation, a resolution approving contracts with Perform Traffic Control Systems Limited for annual pavement marking program, and a resolution authorizing an expenditure for the 2025 Illinois Municipal League Conference. Is there anyone who would like to make public comments on the consent agenda items?
Could we remove item F, please?
Yes. Is there a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, removing item F?
I'll revise my first.
And is there a second?
Oh, did the second.
And if we could have roll call, please, Tracy.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
Trustee Roscoff?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the consent agenda with item F removed is approved. We will now open discussion of item F, a resolution authorizing an expenditure for the 2025 Illinois Municipal League Conference.
I'll make that motion to approve that resolution.
I'll second.
I was just curious, is there a budgeted amount? I know there's a per diem, but I didn't know what the registration fee was for one day. And
It's 412 is what's in the board report, and the current budget right now for the whole board was 3,000.
oh, okay. Thank you.
I plan on taking the train and not using a hotel or anything.
Yeah, no. I didn't. Well, good. I'm
When
glad
is this
somebody's going.
conference?
It
Good
is,
enough.
hold on, what's
Any other discussion?
No, thank you.
And can we have roll call, please, Tracy, for the approval of item F?
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
that? Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
Trustee Roscoff?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and item F is also approved. We now move on to general business. 11A is an ordinance, Hannaford Farm Annexation Agreement Amendment for Lot 93, 1187 Red Bud Lane. Is there a motion and a second to discuss and vote on agenda item 11A?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion from trustee Roscoff. Is there a second?
Second.
And we have a second from trustee Special. Community Development Director Danny Marion has a board report on this item.
Sure. So the village has received the file load payment for lot 93 from Q Builders Inc. At the previous meeting in July, we held the required public hearing to amend the annexation agreement, which essentially releases the property owners from any liability or responsibility for future public improvements. There was a lack of quorum to be able to have a supermajority vote to approve the annexation agreement amendment. So it got pushed to this meeting, so you have before you the ordinance approving the annexation agreement amendment for lot 93 in Hannaford Farm.
Is there any discussion?
As a reminder, as an annexation agreement amendment, you need 5 affirmative votes and village president votes on this side.
Can we have roll call, please, Tracy?
Trustee Roscoff?
Aye.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
President Stovall?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Same.
Trustee Michaels?
Abstain.
Trustee London?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and item 11A, an ordinance approving Hannaford Farm Annexation Agreement Amendment for Lot 93 is approved. We'll now move on to 11B, a resolution for US 30 and municipal pedestrian crossing bid award. Is there a motion and a second to discuss and vote on item 11B?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a first from trustee Special and a second from trustee Michaels. Public Works Director Brad Merkel has a board report on this item.
Good evening, all. Finally, the time has come to make the decision if we want to award the bid on this US 30 municipal crossing. A couple things of note. It was quite a bit higher than the engineer's estimate, but with the timing and the current economy and the DCEO grant expiring in February 2026, I think it's in our best interest to proceed with this project. Matt has indicated we had enough for the whole project in the budget this year, so otherwise we lose out on $125,000. So, and I have Representative H.R. Green here to answer your questions.
And if I may, this was a project we tried doing when municipal was built, but IDOT did not want it at that time. So it would have been part of it, but we complied with their
We've been
their
working on it
request.
with them this go around for 2 more years.
Yeah. Yeah, and now they want it.
It's much needed.
Yeah, it is. If you bike it, it's really needed. It's dangerous to cross Route 30 there.
Brad, can I ask you a question? It was approved in April 2024. Why did it take this long to get the bids?
This is design phase. There's the first design phase, second, and then third. And it's traffic signal related, so it takes even longer.
You can tell from Tony's airport report, IDOT's just really slow.
The DCEO grant that we were awarded, we lose out on it, chances of getting that again is slim, I would imagine.
So, yeah.
I know that we fought pretty hard to get that and worked really hard.
And I don't think inflation's gonna get any better.
Yeah, Springfield's not friendly, that took a lot for us to get, so I would hate to see us lose that money with that.
I think this fits in well with our bike plan that was approved back in 2010.
And we did, was that been 10 years? We did the crosswalk at Galena to try and make that a little safer too.
Yep.
We did on 47.
Right.
So now it's time, and then we can get these people to the bridge, to the library. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see it all start to come together. We've got those
planning.
crossings with Bliss and 47 and Galena and 47, and this one's been missing a long time since IDOT gave us the opposite opinion back then when we did municipal.
16 years ago.
Wow, yeah, they said no crosswalk, so.
I think think this will be an excellent connection to our library, which is a soul of our village sometimes, you know? I'm a big library
Definitely.
supporter, and I think this will be great, because it'll, especially with the pedestrian bridge there, it even connects even more people that they can ride their bikes.
I have one question, is that with the increased cost, is that going to be a budget issue for us?
It is not. We initially planned long-term, I mean, we've been talking about this project for about 4 years now, that we were planning just to wait for IDOT to give us the go-ahead.
Mhm.
So we had funds set aside to do the whole project, and we were just able to get a grant to help subsidize the project. So we've been planning long-term on this one to fund it fully.
Thank you.
And thank you, Matt, for all the due diligence you guys did to get the grant to help with this.
I have one question, just to understand how this works. The bidding process, it says, we bid it out again, would be enough time. How does the process work? Why does it take so long?
Well, you have to get approval from IDOT to actually put it out to bid.
Even if it's already, even if you already have it, do it all over again?
Start over again.
Okay.
And the construction season's coming to an end at this point, so if we get this awarded now, it can get constructed this season, but before the February timeline.
So when did, just curiosity, when did this start? When did the bidding process, when did this whole process start? Is that a year?
You're still here, aren't you, Tony?
Yeah, we've been working on this for years. I mean, and
So you
then,
applied for it in the middle of while you're playing, so it happened?
I don't, I didn't apply for the grant, did we, Matt?
Yeah, so it started as one of their representative initiatives, and then it turned into a DCEO grant that they actually, that took about 2 years just to get them to switch it over to a DCEO grant.
And then you submit your design, like they do the concept, and then, but then it takes forever for IDOT to comment back. And then just keep working through all the phases, it just, there's a lag in everything.
And to make sure that he gets credit, I believe it was Senator Severson that we started with.
Yeah, started with, yeah.
I'll make sure he gets a nice thanks from us when this gets done and let him know when it ribbon cuts.
Is there any other discussion? If we could have roll call, please, Tracy.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Special?
aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
Trustee Roscoff?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the resolution approving US 30 municipal pedestrian crossing bid award is approved. We now have item 11C, a resolution authorizing an agreement with HR Green for Phase 3 construction observation. Is there a motion and a second to discuss and vote on agenda item 11C?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a first from trustee Michaels and a special from trustee Special. Public Works Director Brad Merkel has a board report on this item.
Given that you guys all just passed the last project, we need to have an engineer do the construction observation. The real reason we think it's important is because there's signals and it's IDOT and there's the grant and all that stuff, so I think it's in our best interest to hire a professional traffic engineer to oversee this project. So, HR Green folks are here tonight if they have any questions.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call, please, Tracy?
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
Trustee Lundy,
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
Trustee Roscoff?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the resolution authorizing an agreement with HR Green for Phase 3 construction observation is approved. We now have item 11D, a resolution for the bid approval for the police station remodel. Is there a motion and a second to discuss and vote on agenda item 11D?
I'll make that motion.
We have a first from trustee Lindy. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second from trustee Special. Police Chief Pat Rollins has a board report on this item.
Good evening. So this project's been going on since 2014. I've been working with the board and trying to remodel and add on to the police department. So over 11 years, this has been underway. It's been going on for quite a while, and the village administration, as a reminder, used to occupy half the police department, or half of the building, and the police department on the other half. 22 years ago, the village administration, or close to 3 years, moved over to the 160 building, and the police department was able to occupy the full space except for the boardroom. So I'm just gonna go back a little bit. Back in July of 2023, we hired Williams Architects to do a space needs study for just to make sure that operationally and efficiently we can perform our duties better in a modernized police agency. There was a lot of needs that were spotted during the space needs study that were highlighted and brought to previous board's attention, and the desire was to move forward with the space needs study. January 2025, we hired Williams Architects and engaged in a letter of agreement to do the engineering and architectural drawings. In May, when the new board came on board, we brought back Williams Architects to present a budget estimate as well as the concept plan. And your guys' desire was to move forward, and as my board reports laid out, there's a number of operational inefficiencies that are occurring at the police department, as well as some safety issues that are still need to be addressed. Williams Architects put together a bid package. It had 9 separate bids.
Corrigan Clark.
I'm sorry, Corrigan Clark. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry. So Corrigan Clark
Yeah,
put
he's like,
together-
why am I here?
So 9 components within a bid package that went out. And on August 7th, those bids were opened, the seal bids were opened, and Corrigan Clark is here to go through that, as well as just remind the board about the importance of this project.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, Brian Kronwitter from Corrigan Clark. I think we did a presentation back in May with this group here, which we were at the stage called End of Design Development, Early Construction Documents. And that was, at the time, we still had some work to do. We were still gathering some information, geotechnical, which is soil borings information on the dirt that the addition is going to go on. We had not met with Illinois Department of Corrections yet and needed to resolve a few things with them for the holding area of the police station. What I'm going to do is quickly walk you through if you recall the design at the time, and overview, high level of what the design consisted of. At the May board meeting, we mentioned the addition being a sally port, as well as large evidence processing, as well as evidence storage, and an evidence processing lab, as well as some storage space, which would go on to the, call it the north being up for just purposes for today, the west side of the building. We also discussed the need to do some updates to the parking lot, and really, as mentioned in the board meeting in May, to tie in the storm drainage system, the downspouts that now just drain out onto the sidewalks and parking lots, and it cause a lot of deterioration as well as slip hazards, and tie those downspouts into the actual storm sewer that actually lives in the middle of the parking lot. At that meeting in May, it was actually suggested by a couple board members, we also do that tie into the back side of the parking lot. So we actually added that to the scope of work. We also talked about a lawn sign going out at the primary corner of the site there at Municipal and around third. The floor plan, just high level, is a complete gut and renovation for the most part to give the police department a modern feel as well as functionality to meet the standards for modern police agencies. The addition is surrounded by that red box, if you recall, which includes two garage doors that have valley port functions as well as have large evidence processing. That area is also going to second as a storm shelter, which was an added component that we found as we were doing research into the code and interpretations of the project. So that basically is a concrete box that has reinforced concrete block along the perimeter for the bearing walls, and then a precast concrete lid on it to give you basically a storm shelter. The rest of the addition consists of evidence processing, bag and tag, evidence storage, as well as some additional storage and mechanical space. The rest of the spaces really do dovetail nicely into the chief's operations to give him complete secure spaces that keep public from wandering into spaces that are not secure in the building. There's the main entry that will actually now be built out into that void that's now it's set into the building, and we'll have a secure vestibule in there that has ballistic glass at all the windows. Then if they enter into that, there's actually a transaction window. They can, in the window there, they can get records on the record side, which is on the right. And if they need to come in and visit somebody, they could be escorted in. There's another lobby, secondary lobby in there. Just to the left, if you're looking at the plan, is a roll call training multi-purpose space that is really going to be a primary hub for the police department, as well as serve as a training space. Has a small kitchenette in it off to the right, and then multi-configurations for doing classroom seating, large format kind of conferencing, et cetera. The area just to the, call it south of the lobby, is the patrol area. That has all the duty bags, patrol riding. It also leads into the locker space. The lockers are non-gender or gender neutral, and there are 2 changing spaces that have shower and toilet facilities that any of the officers would be able to make their changing happen in a secure area. To the right is records right off the lobby, and then some additional support spaces, some toilet facilities. The chief's primary administrative function is also to the right, as well as an executive conference room and a few other support spaces. To the left of the training multi-purpose room is some storage, so they can put any chairs, et cetera, that need to clear out of that space into that storage room. And then the corridor is actually a secure corridor that allows access to the detectives, armory, and some additional spaces to the left of the storage space. The holding area is where anybody in custody would be escorted in from the sally port. They would get in the sally port, the doors would close, and they would get access into the holding area, which has a booking space where they're processed. There's a small toilet shower, and then 2 holding cells, which are flanking the 2 blue spaces, which are actually interview rooms. They actually have doors that exit into the holding space that are now detention doors, as well as doors that are directly across from the detective dual office. So that gives them some great functionality. That is the primary function of the building. There's really nothing in here that's, I would say, over the top by any means. It's really very functional. Minimal corridors, as you can see, and really gives us the police agency enough space as well as functionality to meet current standards. Now you're trying to get certification. Correct. We believe this will meet that. Illinois Department of Corrections looked at the holding spaces, was very happy with what they saw. There's a couple of bird's eye renderings of the facility. As you can see, we were trying to match the aesthetic from basically a gable roof type perspective. The additions off to the left, you can see a higher pitched roof for that storm shelter area, because we had to get access, high enough access in that space, so we had to bump up a little higher to get enough volume in there to be able to do the functions you need in that space. The project also included a new roof system, a shingle system. This building, I think the roof is over 20 years old, and usually shingle roofs don't last much more than 20 years, so this has a price to replace all the shingles, replace all the downspouts and gutters, tie in all the downspouts into the storm system, replace all the soffits and fascias, and then the exterior is mostly brick, so we're going to follow brick on the addition for the most part. And then unfortunately, the village at the time put a vinyl siding on a lot of the non-brick areas of the existing building, which is not a normal commercial governmental type material. It's not a long-term use, so we're proposing to change that vinyl siding into a cementitious type siding called hardy board that will be a more long-lasting cementitious type material that has inherent stain that comes out from the factory. Also replacing all the windows, and then really making a more of a gesture at the entryway to call out that yes, this is the entryway to the police department. And that is going to be an addition that raises the roof profile a bit, adds some glass to the main entry, fills in that depression in that main entryway to create a secure entrance. Additionally, as we looked at the facility, there is no curb that separates the parking lot from the actual sidewalk that runs along the front of the building, which is not ideal. You like to have a barrier curb to at least prevent cars from mistakenly pulling in too far into their parking spots. One of the other things that was looked at is to need to put some concrete barriers that actually double as planters to provide another level of protection for any vehicle that might want to do damage to the police station. So these planters are designed to be, keep a vehicle at 60 miles an hour from coming into the building. The village code official actually requested just last week that they wanted a more robust foundation system put on these planters. So actually now we're going to add some cost to put a foundation system and tie it in with some rebar so that the planter, if hit by a vehicle, would not potentially slide a bit and create some consternation for anybody concerned. So that's going to be added to the project. Another picture is of the lawn sign, which again, that's a pretty prominent area as you come in off 30 and Municipal, and having an identity to one of the government buildings is a pretty common practice for municipalities. So we suggested, designing a lawn sign that takes some cues from that new entryway that has some wood appearance to it. Ron, we did take your advice and are going to use that as hardy panels.
Oh.
So it's cementitious too.
Thanks.
So it's not real wood, but it looks like.
Yeah.
Looks like wood. And then it'd be lit along with some flagpoles. So we believe that, again, it was bid as an alternate. We'll discuss these in a second here about what that means. So that is the design. So what I want to talk about is the bidding process. So we contacted over 3,300 contractors to basically bid the 9 packages we put out. We received 51 bids. Bids were open on August 7th. We did scope reviews with the lowest responsible bidders to determine if they had the full scope, they had the resources to perform the work at the schedule we had suggested, and agree to the terms and conditions of the contract. The lowest recommended responsible bidders are listed in packages 1 through 9 at those values. And I don't see a reason to read those, but you guys can take that in. We also, in those numbers, included what we believe were the highest priority alternates. And those are alternate number 1, they're all in bold and italic. Alternate number 1 being the monument sign at $32,600. Alternate 3 is the gable ends of the existing building have these kind of funny built-out areas of the eaves that are vinyl siding. We weren't necessarily fond of that as a final approach. We were just going to paint the vinyl siding. We really want to get rid of the vinyl siding. So we were going to take those off and create a different image. I think we showed you a rendering of that. We believe for the $26,000, that's a better long-term solution for the building. So we thought that would be a highly recommended alternate. Then alternate 9, the lobby. It's a small lobby, but again, that's important that we at least have some a little higher end look in there. And this is a stone look, luxury vinyl tile. Looks like terrazzo, but it's actually luxury vinyl tile. It's a newer product at an upgrade cost of $99. The other alternates, which I'll address now, high density shelving in the records room. These are compact shelving that you need to roll the wheel over to make it move the shelving part. Chief believes he at some point will need that, but it could be bought at a later date if the village so chooses. or you roll it in the project knowledge, you would recall. Backlit aluminum cast signage, so if you saw that rendering, I think it shows it. We had an alternate to actually add a little character to the signs in the front, which of course I didn't give you the night shot, but it's the Sugar Grove Police Department would be cast letters that have an aluminum, or an aluminum cast that have a light backlit on it. Adds a little pop to it. The base bid is cast aluminum letters with the gimbal lights that currently are there. It's the shine on them perfectly fine too. So didn't seem like, since we're over budget a little bit, that would be a wise choice to make. So we opted to bypass that one. It really doesn't serve any functional purpose other than aesthetics. The alternate 6, I think Brad was highly, would you say, Brad, liking this as an alternate, the urethane flooring in
Yes.
there? It is a better material, better coating for these spaces. What we have in there is really just sealed concrete. So this is a more durable material for these spaces here, and it just will last you longer. But again, it can be done later. Not easily, but it can be done later.
And ask a question about that.
Yes.
So if you don't do it now, I mean, it could damage the floor, right?
Yes, I mean, the potential for that is obviously higher, because sealed concrete is sealed concrete. It doesn't protect much.
And then you have the issue of moving things out of the garage and storage, so.
They'll likely never be done.
Yeah. No, alternate 6 would be a good,
For sure, I would say, but we wanted to leave it out there, let you guys weigh in on what else you wanted to add. Alternate 7, as you can see, we have windows at the entryway, and we have other new windows at offices and throughout the building. We have a 3M intruder resistant film in the base. It's not ballistic, it won't stop a bullet, but it'll slow down anybody being able to break through the glass. It's got film on it. Not any level of ballistic, just keep that in mind. So many police departments like to have some ballistic protection on windows, especially those like the chief's office and other offices, detective offices. Just added sense of security, of course. And for an upgrade of $8,700, again, I would recommend that, but again, I don't want to spend your money unnecessarily. So that would fall in that category. But you could do it later again. So the old value of what's been in the base numbers right now is $61,200. If you want to add any of these additional ones, we would just adjust the numbers accordingly.
Okay, can I ask a quick question?
Sure thing.
The high density shelving for the records room, is the floor able to sustain that?
Yes, it's
Okay.
slab on grade, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll move forward. So, adjustments from the May meeting that brought us to the $6,000,004 that our final estimate sat at the August before bidding. As we mentioned before, we added some scope for the parking lot at the May meeting. We did discover in June, the geotech engineer did borings for the addition. Unfortunately, you have a bunch of fill in that area. Fill is not good to put a building on, so we got to excavate out 7 to 8 feet of material and put a compact engineered fill back in. That added cost to the project that we didn't know about till.
Even with the slab on grade, you have to go down.
And foundations. Yeah. You have to set those on good material, otherwise they will sink.
Thank goodness for those soil reports.
And we can't widen the footings or anything like that?
Not to the point where it becomes counterproductive from a more concrete to widen footings. The geotech engineer recommended, he knew we were doing standard footings, excavate it out and put it in engineered fill.
Will they just be digging out where the footings go?
The perimeter, yeah, there's actually.
Not the whole.
No, not the whole
Okay,
thing.
but I'm sorry.
So it's the perimeter, and then there's actually the back wall of the garage is actually very well too. So there's another wall there. That was, because it's a smaller addition, it's really most cost-effective way was to excavate and put fill in. The Illinois Department of Corrections came in June too, right, Chief? And recommended a fair amount of additional detention doors they wanted to see added to the project. We were a little more ambitious in thinking we didn't need to do as many detention doors initially. We only have 2 holding cells, but there's interview rooms that kind of, exit into or have doors into the holding space. Illinois Department of Corrections wanted those to be detention doors too. And then because the storm shelter doors also into the Sally Port, they wanted more detention doors because that's the path of travel that a detainee could go through. So we added, instead of we had 5 doors, we had 10 detention doors instead of being $5,000 or $50,000.
Next question is the bulk of the general trades delta from estimates at those items there?
Many of them, for sure. And then one of the other things when we were in the May meeting, we actually had the parking lot because that's going to be funded out of a different fund below the $6 million where it was the budget at, and that was about $165,000 now rolled up into the project because it's going to be part of the bid process, even though it's funded differently. So that's how we got to the 6.4. We do have a contingency built into the project right now of $325,000, which is about 6% of the total hard cost. I don't feel comfortable going much lower than that for a renovation project of this complexity because the building is 35 years old and anybody's done a renovation on their house, you find things that.
You think that's enough though?
I do. No.
Is that contingency taking in effect potential tariff issues?
So since the bids are in, tariffs are built into the bids.
Okay, so they are already
They're in
built
the
in.
bids, so they can't come back for more money now.
Okay,
I'll talk about that here in a second.
all right.
In addition to contingency, we also have general conditions, requirements to build the project. We have general liability insurance, the CCM and AE fees, miscellaneous reimbursables that have already been partially spent for geotech and surveys, and to be spent or construction testing. We also have $75,000 allocated for fixtures, furniture, and equipment, which is going to be a real challenge to get everything Chief needs for that budget. We've already been whittling away at that, trying to figure out how we can stay within that budget.
We will likely be reusing some tables and desks to get us to at that number. So we've trimmed that more than it's not going to be all new furniture.
Super tight. So that brings us to a total project value of $6,864,519, which, if you really want to look apples to apples, is about $352,000 over the base project scope, less any alternates, or about 5.5% over the final project budget. So this is in your packet. You can't read it, and it just shows you all the bids we had. The highlighted golds contractors are those being awarded the project. Any of the alternates that we added to the project are listed in that third column, and then you can see kind of the comparison to the estimate in the 1, 2, 5th column, and then notes and stuff on the right. So I'm not going to go over that, but it shows you everything that makes up the total project value of the project.
So
for the roofing, are we just using asphalt shingles or?
And cement and steel, standing seam at that entryway.
Would you mind going back one screen?
Sure thing.
So when it says down here that it's 420,000 over budget, what was the difference between the previous screen that said 350 and this
So
one?
I took alternates out because
Okay.
comparing, apples to apples, if you don't include, because we didn't add alternates in the budget initially.
And then out of that 350, how much of that is due to the fill soil that has to be replaced, and then the addition of the doors?
So the additional soils, I think it's in the letter. I think I said $60,000. 60, yeah. And then the Illinois Department of Corrections, did I say 140? 140.
I have a question. I understand a lot of these prices are for the tariffs, but you know, you think trades kind of go hand in hand. Plumbing is right on budget, but electrical is 54% higher.
Yeah, let me just dive into that. So we were appalled, frankly, at that. We're talking to the electrical contractors, all of them said they were surprised when they got their supplier numbers in of what was being tacked on for tariffs that wasn't anticipated.
I'm just surprised that plumbing wouldn't follow suit, you know.
I can't explain that, frankly. I'm really a bit shocked that it came in at the number it did, but you know, when the numbers are relatively close, you know, from the stacking standpoint of the electrical bids.
So I don't know how it's worked, but if you bid it again, you think it would be the same numbers?
It's not going to go down. I can assure you of that. Any other questions regarding this?
So, what if we said, because this is still, it is over budget, what if we said we want to complete this project at the original number plus, you know, like 60 and 140, not including any add-ons? Is there a way you could trim it down, or do you feel like you did all the trimming you could?
Well, there is no, I would say, not a lot of low-hanging fruit, or, you know, the project is, the interior design is bare bones. The spaces are the spaces that need to be there. We don't have high-end carpet. We have durable materials that you want for a PD, a police station, because it's 24/7 building, right? But it's not over the top. The things, and actually I have a slide here now that I have identified that could be deferred. I wouldn't recommend it, but could be deferred. The lawn sign, that's worth $32,000. That could be deferred or pulled out. The new shingles, again, that you got it, at some point you want to replace the shingles. You don't have to do it now, but again, you could defer that. That's worth $71,000. The parking lot, again, it's going to look like it's Swiss cheese when we do all the connection to the storm sewer into the parking lot, and frankly, it needs a mill and overlay. But again, that's a pretty big number at $151,000. The soffits, again, these are 35-year-old soffits. You could defer it, but again, I wouldn't recommend it. The new windows, again, you could pull those out of the scope and save $40,000. The planter foundations that the building official added at the last minute are worth $31,000. You could, you guys are the authority having jurisdiction, you can push back on that and say, there is no code that makes you do that. It's just a recommendation.
Yeah.
That amounts to $361,000 if you took them all.
And to clarify, for the parking lot, it's $150,000, but you were saying, we had 160 in the budget anyway?
Yeah, and that's being actually funded through our road fund, and that was how it was presented. It was separate from our capital fund that we've saved for.
And so, when it says $350,000 over, is it, if we add in that 165 that we had in the other budget, would it be 350 minus 165 that were over the plan?
So if you take the 6.864 number that they've presented here and subtract off the 162.5, it's about 6.7. That's the number, and the 6.4 is where they were at. So you're still about the 300,000 over the estimate from May after the additions. I can speak quickly on financially. I think financially the village can complete this project. Whether the board wants to complete that, that is up to you, with any removals or additions. Taking out the things that can be pushed or cannot be pushed budgetarily for the village would only really change 1 year of funding for the village. Okay. So we have enough funds, but even if you cut the 350, it really, funding wise, changes only 1 year rather than 2 years.
Okay.
So it's not a huge change to complete that project all at one time, rather than, like you said, it's something that you kind of look at and you don't really do down the road, but financially the village can't fund this without still issuing any debt for it.
Okay.
So my last section here, you know, why did it go over budget, right? unfortunately, when we set an escalation factor back, early on the estimating phase of the project, including back in May, we were carrying a 6% escalation factor. And I think I mentioned this at that meeting, that, we were hedging at 6%, hoping that we weren't gonna get affected by additional increases in that. There, a report came out in late July that escalation through 2025 year to date, at the end of June, was 6.2% already. So we were already in a gap of 2%. If you follow that. So now we gotta then escalate for people buying materials through 26 and all the labor and all that. That's likely more escalation that is not covered. Does that make sense? So in hindsight, if I would have said back in May, well, we should carry a 10% escalation factor, the project budget would have reflected that.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense? Yeah. So unfortunately, we're in a very volatile time of building and inflation and escalation. And trying to manage it the best we can. Unfortunately, that's, we got caught in that right now. And electrical, as I mentioned, was one of those that just can't get my arms around why it ended up being so much higher than what we had predicted. Rebidding it, again, I don't believe that it's going to result in any savings at this stage because the economy is what it is.
Have you seen other projects that outside this that?
We are seeing a bit of a trend here now that.
That one stands out to me.
It does. So unfortunately, you got the best number for today, and deferring what I would consider maintenance items, for the envelope would not be advisable because they'll catch up to you at some point. You're going to do them.
Yeah. So if we delay some of these things for later on, they most likely will be more expensive later on.
100%.
So.
Not just by inflation factor.
Right.
You have the benefit of a little more critical mass of the project here versus a one-off. If you bid that once,
It's no longer money,
yeah, it's going to be $50,000.
Any idea what we're saving by using the existing shell of a building that's got to be?
Yeah, it's a great question because there are projects out there who are building police stations that are building ground up. The typical cost per square foot of one of those is pushing $1,000 a square foot.
So we're saving almost $400
Yeah.
per foot. That's significant. I think that's what the public needs to realize. It's not going over the top, that we are saving some money. That's as you pointed out, a 32-year-old building that we're reusing and updating, and it'll probably last another 30 plus years.
It is in essence basically a brand new building by the time we're done. The only thing we save is structure.
Yeah, most of it's $400 a square foot. That's significant.
Right. So all the systems, HVAC, electrical, fire alarm, everything's new. So you have pretty much a new building from the inside standpoint. And really the exterior shell is mostly new too. Yep. If you take all those.
If you had to re-pour all the concrete and floor and fill in the trusses.
Yeah, and I think Elwood's got a police station, right? Elwood's building something that's similar size. I think their budget's double yours easily.
What do you anticipate to be potential issues as far as getting the product in, like HVAC? Is that going to be a huge lead time, or?
So we talked to all the trade contractors when we interviewed them. The tension doors seem to be one of the longer lead items because they're only manufactured by one company in the United States. 16 weeks, but that's we have a workaround for that. HVAC is nothing obscene, so we're not buying a generator, thank God, because we can't get those for a year and a half. But no, I think all the materials that we've spoken with contractors are readily available.
Have we selected all the exterior colors as far as shingles and siding?
I mean, we have representative renderings, but we have not physically given samples to anybody to pick from yet.
Okay, so that needs to be done.
Yeah, that'll be coming up.
In windows, they look like the windows are being shown in black or,
Yeah, I think we were trying to go with an aesthetic of getting rid of all the white on the building and go with more of a earth tone browns. Okay. So,
raise the price, what are we looking at?
yeah.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion?
As far as windows, is that bid through Light or somebody else?
It's in light, the general trades contractors.
And have they specified what windows they're gonna use?
Is it Pella that we expect? Pella.
Is there an opportunity to ask them to change and look at Lindsay, since it's produced on the west side of Aurora, a local?
Yes, so I did talk with them. Unfortunately, what we decided would be best for the project was to do an aluminum clad window.
Oh.
And unfortunately, they don't offer that. They only offer vinyl.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
You're showing, and I know it's just rendering, you're showing a heavy timber appearance for the entry. Are you looking at a heavy timber, or are you looking at a composite to make it look like a heavy timber build-up?
It is general, it's LVL.
It's the same as this.
Yeah. So, no, it's not a heavy timber.
Right, okay, so.
And it's got a cladding on it of.
That's, it's
hardy.
a cladding,
Yes,
it's.
that looks like wood.
But it does have the concrete base. Then I'm concerned about shoveling and having damage to.
Yeah, the columns do have it's concrete or is it stone? I forget.
We have a cast stone base at the columns, and that'll be at the same height as the planters, so it all looks very cohesive.
That's fine, just, you know, I've seen EFS over the years, if it's too
Yeah,
low,
no,
you, yeah.
we avoid that.
Yeah. And then the other thing, I like the touch, but I don't know if this was just aesthetic or if you actually are planning on the chain downspout.
We are planning on that.
Now, would that be going into something that then would
Yes.
follow down into our
Storm system.
underground
Yeah.
storm system? Okay. I do like the look of it.
You like those, yeah? Get a little character here.
Yeah.
Instead of, we looked at traditional downspouts, so they looked a little clunky.
And it's standing seam on the low pitched?
Yep.
Okay.
It does really give a new character to the police station, so excited about that, transform that building.
Brian, would you mind backing up the slide with including the alternates? So if the discussion's concluding and someone is willing to make a motion, I'd ask that you make a motion and include the alternates that you'd like included as part of the project, so we know what to be awarded, so we can start the work, and then we can move forward from there. Also, if the board so chooses, in the past, I've done where a certain amount of contingency can be used with an agreement between two or three staff members, and then if it's any higher than that, it would need to come back to the full board for approval. So if you'd so choose, I would recommend myself, Chief Rollins, and Director Merkel, if we concur on a use of contingency up to a certain amount of money, we can do that to keep the project moving. But if it's above a certain amount, whatever you're comfortable with, then it would have to come back to the full board for approval. So it's a little different than a normal vote, but I'd ask for those two things if possible, so we can have clear direction to move forward.
So we have two
Can you go back, Brian?
different kind of contingencies to include. There's those that you said are actual building maintenance items, and then you said there's the alternates. So is that what we're looking at? Two different.
Well, let's just stick on the contingency. Contingency is a separate line item, which value of $325,000.
Oh, okay.
We know it's not in any contractor bid right now. It's
All right.
used for us to manage the project, as Scott alluded to. So
Okay.
that's that. Alternates.
Could you give an example of contingency that we'd possibly have, Brian?
Sure. The planters, right? This was not in the bid because it just came out by the building official to add foundations. if you guys want to do that, I have to get a number from the contractor, who happens to be Light, to put foundations in. He's going to give us a number, we're going to vet it, push his number as far down as we can, and ultimately it's going to be a change order. That continues. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
And we are doing a barrier curb in front of those.
we have barrier
planters.
curb and we have planters that just sit on it.
Yeah.
But that would be a prime example, because if you want to go forward with that, then that'll be one of the first change orders that come up.
There's always a bunch of development projects, like, I thought this included this,
I mean, another one would be poor soils, right? We already anticipate going down and find a boulder, right? Because soil borings only, you get 2 borings, or you don't know if there's a massive boulder in there, and it happens to be right at the excavation. Nobody would reasonably anticipate having to pull around, so that would be, you know, the contractor would say, hey, we have a superintendent out here, and it took you 4 hours to get that boulder out, you know, at your billing rate, plus operators' time on the machine is this. That would be continuous use. Make sense?
You mind going back to the alternates then? Make a motion to approve the contract with alternate 1, alternate 3, alternate 6, and alternate 9 at this time, and eliminating the requirement to have the foundation rebar on the planters out front of the building.
I want to hear from the chief. Can we talk to the chief for a couple minutes, or at an appropriate time?
Yes.
But can we get a second, and then we can discuss it, and then we can modify the motion.
Is there a second to discuss and vote on this agenda item with alternates 1, 3, 6, and 9, eliminating the rebar?
I'll second it with the question. Is that with no cost reductions on this other, we're not including anything that was recommend or shown as a cost reduction? So you're just saying,
The roof and that kind of stuff.
The rebar would be
Yeah, no.
the reduction
No
that he's
reductions.
suggesting.
No reductions.
I think the rebar foundation was one of those listed.
it's number 6, yeah, that's why, it's in this presentation package, Sean,
What page?
in the packet for presentation,
Oh, I see. Thank you.
the second from the last.
Can you go to that page?
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 6.
Yeah, so it'd just be removing or including item 6, removing the planter foundations. But all the other ones, 1 through 5,
Why would you want to?
That's why I was asking chief, if we can maybe get to him so I can ask him questions, but I would like to, this is his building, I would like to hear some stuff before.
that's why we have a motion to discuss. Okay.
Do we have a second, so can we move on?
Second.
Do we have a second? Thank you. All right, so chief, I have a question about the planter foundations. I'm assuming it's a safety issue. Car drives over, pushes the planters currently up to the front door. There's no exit for you guys to get out through those main entries. If there's citizens in there, they're stuck with inside that main entry, the vestibule. So the reasons for, correct me if I'm wrong, but the reasoning is to secure those in place as a solid barrier for any vehicle assaults or accidental vehicle crashes inside that vestibule area. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That way to add additional measures to make sure that it's a lot more difficult for a vehicle to get to the building or to the lobby.
So it just happened in Oswego.
Yeah, that's exactly why
Where you have a Girl Scout crew out in front showing them the building. One of the Girl Scouts' parents or grandmother hits the gas instead of the brake and plows into everybody in front. we're putting $31,000 price tag on that. That's, to me, that's an absolute. I think that's a great use of those funds for that, to make that building not only more secure, but to make the safety of everybody there and within that building even safer. So I just want to, is there anything else I'm missing why that would be done, the purposes of having that as a foundation added? Brian?
I mean, it's a belt and suspenders, 100%.
Okay. And, all right, so that's the first question I had. Second one I'm asking would be, Chief, have you met with the officers or their union? Have you gone over this plan with them? Are they happy about it? Is there anything that we're missing that I know they want everything,
Sure.
but within reason, is there anything that they're like, hey, part of this cost, like, we really want this ice shelving density, shelving for whatever reason. We don't care so much about the cast iron signage. Was there any discussions had?
Yes, and I want to appreciate Lauren, Diego, I know we have John and Brian with us from Fort and Clark. I think we went in, and Scott's here, as well as Matt and Brad, we went into this trying to keep it as price effective as possible, knowing that, you know, it's a large amount of money that you as stewards of the community are responsible for. So we went in, and with the direction of Scott, making sure that we weren't asking for stuff. And for the architects in the room, built police stations and to modernize it, we're not asking for much. There's not much here that you're gonna be able to make it efficient, to hopefully remove or reduce or cut out. It's pretty bare bones. We're utilizing a lot of the stuff that we have today and are moving, and then we're bringing it back. So they're building the structure, they're building the rooms for us, and they're modernizing, you know, all the mechanical equipment that needs to be done so it can be safer. But there's really not much. Now, the one thing that the officers did ask for, and we just don't have the space, and that's a workout facility. And you see those in modern police agencies. Maybe we'll get Stanley Garage Door, we'll build a two-car garage on the back half of the building years down the road, and maybe make a workout room in there or something. Well, we couldn't make it happen today. But that's pretty much it. They're excited about having lockers. Mm-hmm. As simple as that is all those have done the tours through the police department. They're excited about secure storage of their weapons in the right space. They're excited about evidence being properly maintained and stored. So we're addressing all the key components. You know, but their office though they're patrol officers. It's out on the street, and as a board, you provide them great vehicles that we get to outfit, and probably bar none in the general area, our officers driving the cars that they have. So we're grateful for your support in that manner. And what you're seeing today being presented is not asking for a lot of extras.
I'm embarrassed of the police department. When you go through it now, I recommend people actually, before it gets torn down or ripped apart, I encourage all the citizens, if you want, to try to schedule a tour and go through there. Where I think the policing in general is we're having issues finding people that want to be the police, and where you go to work, yes, although the police car is your office day to day, you know, you still spend the majority of your life inside of those four-wheel walls of the police department. So to have these things and to have a nice place and to retain, I know it sounds silly, but to have a nice building and have nice things actually goes a long way of retention of these police officers. You know, we don't want them leaving because the building's, you know, lackluster. They can go to Batavia or they can go to Yorkville and just as a brand new police department and have these amenities. And when we're sitting here saying we can afford it, we're not taking out debt, we can have everything. I think we need to really concentrate on doing everything that we can possibly do now. I think waiting's going to cost more money in the long run on this, and I also feel that as we look at reduction of some of these items, these are things that can cause a domino effect later down the road. I like the fact that we have the money now to do it. Anybody, I bet you, Trustee Michaels, as you build houses for a living, you probably get people inside these homes and then they're halfway through and they say, you know what, I want to go ahead and add all these other things on, I don't want to do it later. And it's pretty common practice, and I don't want to be that way. And halfway through this project, say, man, you know that $37,000 for those new soffits, I really wish we would have just done that
The cost is a lot higher.
in the grand scheme of things. And so I know it's a tough number to swallow. I trust Matt. Matt, you're saying this, we're not bonding for this. This isn't going, we're not taking out loans for this. This is self-funded. And we can, if we chose the full package, you're saying that's only just about a 1 year difference?
Yeah, so, and I also want to, just because you are going over
Please.
alternates too, looking at the alternates that are not included currently, yes, the backlit aluminum cast signage is an aesthetic. I don't think that that's necessarily a thing, but when you're looking at the high density storage, we've always viewed this when we started this project as we're expanding this life of the police department, so we're not building that $12 million one. We can't afford it. The additional alternates are, some are safety. To me, ballistic shielding on windows is a safety thing as well. But if you're going to be doing this on a long-term basis that's going to last us another 15 years, the extra $40,000 and the alternates that are here for safety and things that are going to be long-term, we know we're going to need them, but pushing it for $40,000 may be turning into more cost down the road. So from the finance perspective, and not my decision to approve, that difference is not going to make or break the project, nor make or break the ability to fund the project. So that's just my financial side to the board, so they're aware.
And we're in a unique position because, as you said, we're not bonding, we're not financing, so we're actually, there's a lot of costs that would be in this price if we had to do those items. So, I mean, it seems to lean toward the money had been earmarked for this project. We've been talking about this for a long time. Things are needed. It doesn't make sense to remove any of the items with the possible cost reductions. I mean, financing is definitely more than $361,000. And then that's my opinion, to leave 1 through 6 in, and then the question is do we want to add any more of the alternates in? I mean, according to the sheet, we have 1, 3, and 9. The only one that, Matt, you said to skip, if we wanted to skip something, was the alternate 5, which is the backlit sign.
Yeah, that's purely an aesthetic. It's not
But getting the shelving, yes, you're going to wind up using it. The urethane flooring, that's $13,000. The ballistic film is $8,700. I'm other than flipping a coin on the aluminum cast signage. I mean, I don't see any reason not to include that, especially since if we weren't in the position we were in, and it's hard to get here, that doesn't happen easily with the board and all the decisions that have been made over the years to get this money set aside, that we've been looking about this, talking about this. I think the time is right. I don't think that we're going to do anything better if we were to even consider rebidding, which nobody said, which I don't believe makes any sense in it at this time. So, I mean, I know we have our first and second, which could be amended unless somebody feels differently. I mean, I'm content with the way Matt explained it, and if somebody has a different opinion on that alternate 5, that cast sign, but other than that, I'm for including those other alternate items like Matt said, because we can do that at this point. I just think it's the way to go.
To
I have a couple
clarify,
questions.
you're asking for all the alternates except number 5?
No, I'm sorry. There's two sets. Are we back to alternates
We're
here?
back to alternates.
Oh yeah, okay. That's what Matt said. He said of anything he would skip,
It's fine.
skip alternate 5, which is that sign. For the dollar amount, it almost doesn't. Right. So
Yeah.
I mean, you're the architect.
So here's my thing with the backlit aluminum cast sign. I'm assuming there's no electricity to the sign right now, because it's just on
You
the
would need to
wall.
put- yeah.
So it would cost more if we were to try to do that later, because then we're trying to get electricity to it. And the monument sign, is that lit?
It is.
It is lit. My question is, are there lights currently in plan to light the sign up, the sign on the building up or not? Because I'm worried if the monument sign goes down, you can ask the library about their monument sign getting struck by lightning and everything else. We want to make sure there's some kind of lit light sign for the police department, emergency.
Yeah, in the soffit, I believe, right, they're called gimbal or eyeballs that shine
You have
on.
eyeballs on there, so.
So those are in the soffit, so those would be lit and light just the letters.
Okay, so, because I was just worrying if something happens to the monument sign, we don't want to have a
Yeah,
building that is not.
It's just not as slick, if you will, of a backlit sign that has a different aesthetic.
But I would say that would be something that we probably would not want to go.
You would never
back
do it
into.
again.
Yeah, no,
If
it's,
you
you
don't
do it
check-
now or
never,
never,
yeah,
is
now or
kind of
never.
the thing, because it's gonna,
I'm just not sure that backlit aluminum cast signage alone is bright enough for people from Route 30 to see police department.
I mean, it's not as, I mean, the lawn sign, it absolutely is going to be the
Yeah.
primary
But
signage.
once you pass that and you're going south on Municipal to look over, I don't know if it's gonna be bright enough, that's what I think.
Did
Can I ask-
the
can I ask a
gimbals
question?
stay if we do backlit or
Go ahead.
not? Okay, so you get both.
So I have two questions. One, alternate four, Chief Shelby, do you think it's something you're gonna need in the near future? I mean,
Yes, even though everything's being digitized, law enforcement still has a lot of paper records. So even our electronic tickets have to be printed.
So if you don't have this, you're just gonna pile them up, that's it. So if you don't have this Shelby, you're just gonna pile them up?
Yes.
Yeah. The second question is for Trustee Bonnie and Chief, like the ballistic film, for this department our size, is it pretty standard to have ballistic windows or not?
I think that, I mean, that's a newer concept, I believe, for the price of $8,700. Once again, to put ballistic film on the first floor windows. This was a second story, third story police department where, you know, the chief's office and administration and stuff's way upstairs. I think that would probably be something we look at, but we're in a ranch style first floor. With society the way it is now, and, you know, the acts of violence that are taking place that are unheard of years ago, to put it for $8,700 to upgrade those ballistic films on those first floor windows to make our officers safe. And let's not forget, it's not just officers that are in there. You know, we have civilians that work inside the building. A lot of times we have tours going through there, right, Chief? You know, especially with this new police department, I'm assuming maybe even hosting some classes or community events. So I think just the few extra bucks when it comes down to this overall project would be silly to miss out on that.
I agree. I just want to clarify that when we use the term ballistic, it's not going to stop a bullet.
Correct.
So this is a 3M product that goes on the windows. It's installed at John Shields, it's installed in Harvard Middle School. The colleges all put this film on top of it. It's harder for someone to penetrate it. It's basically, will hold it a little bit more, you know, am I describing that properly? Or is it-
That's actually the base.
So
This
what about
actually is a
this-
more upgraded film.
Yeah,
that
this will
goes down.
slow the rounds
Yes.
down.
Yes.
I mean, it
Yes.
won't, it's not bulletproof, but what it
Correct.
does
Slows
is it
down, yeah.
slows down the
Correct.
capacity of
Yeah.
the rounds that are going through, so.
Yeah.
On the shelving again, 27,000 sounds like a lot for shelving. Is it special shelving?
It is, so
Okay.
it's rolling shelves.
Okay.
They're
Compact
expensive.
shelving.
Compact
Okay.
shelving, you can get.
They're on rails and they basically, you can push them
Okay.
all together.
Okay, I
So
was
take this wheel and then
picturing normal
get a lot
shelves
more
like
self
that,
shelving.
yeah.
I think
Smaller.
if you've seen in a medical office, they'll have similar type of the high
Okay.
density, which is why I was asking about the weight, 'cause sometimes you have to depress the
Mhm.
floor and all kinds of stuff for it.
And are you planning to use that for like evidence and such? Because I've seen that used like for evidence lockers.
So our evidence room, we're gonna repurpose our shelves that are already on rollers and bring them into the police station as a cost savings. And we just have to replace the bottom rails in a new facility.
So
it's
you're
gonna
already
be-
using one of these.
We're using a different style. The other ones are more for like medical records or records storage, where evidence is basically if you went to Home Depot and you had your 6 foot by 5 shelves height, and then you can crank them and move them or manually move them.
You see a lot of these in the back rooms in shopping malls because they have high-density storage of other commodities that are not put on the front, and they're either wheeled or just rollers. The only thing I'll say is that they should have bumpers between them, but that's another issue. I think my overall opinion on this is do all of them, because waiting isn't going to make anything any cheaper, and we're gonna sit there, a year or two down the road going, gee, why didn't we? It wasn't that much. What would be the total, I can't add this up on my head, total if we did all of those alternatives?
It says right there, 61,000.
61,000.
No, that's for the recommended alternatives.
Oh, right,
The
so
addition
Matt's
was
got the math.
60,900.
I can't hear you.
60,900 additional in those.
So it'd be like 120,000-ish for all of them. And that's, for this massive of a project, that's small potatoes, really.
And I was gonna say the high-density shelving we do have it at Public Works. They put that in the building 2 decades ago, and it's in full use, so you do wind up using it.
Tried to take it and Brad yelled
One more comment.
Huh? What?
Take it from
You mentioned
PD and Brad
$75,000
yelled.
for the furniture. If that becomes not enough, I think you should come back to the board, because you don't want to put old furniture that looks bad with a new building. I mean, I think if that's enough money, I think we should consider it down the road.
I have an idea, let's get rid of the aluminum cast signage, keep those downlights and add a 12-2 onto the furniture.
I like that idea.
And let's get you another $12,000 in furniture. What do you think? That's my idea.
I like it. I like that idea.
I'll amend my first to include alternates 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, and keep the planner foundation in, and as suggested by Trustee Bonnie at 12,202, the furniture allowance.
And I'll second that.
Well, no, I gotta amend my second, as Trustee Michael stated.
So we have a motion to approve with alternates 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, an additional 12,000 for furniture. Is that
Yep.
the number? An additional 12,200 for furniture, and with the rebar for the planters. A first from Trustee Michaels and a second from Trustee Special. Can we have a roll call, please, Tracy?
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
Trustee Lundy.
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee Lundgren?
Aye.
Trustee Roscoe?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the police station remodel bid is approved.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to 11E, a resolution authorizing release of public improvement guarantee 550 Heartland Drive.
Make that motion.
There's a motion from Trustee Michaels. Is there a second to discuss and vote on agenda item 11E?
Second.
And a second from Trustee Special. Community Development Director Danny Marion has a board report on this item.
Village has received a request to release the public improvement guarantee that is being held in the form, being held for the improvements that were done at 550 Heartland Drive. The 18-month warranty period has commenced, and a subsequent inspection detected no flaws in the improvements. Village staff and the engineer are of the opinion that the entire guarantee amount can now be released. We hold this guarantee to ensure that any public improvements that they do are working properly and don't need repairs. So we are recommending that the village board approve the resolution releasing the public improvement guarantee.
Is there any discussion on the item to release the public improvement guarantee? Hearing none, Tracy, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
Trustee Rossi?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and item 11E, authorizing release of the public improvement guarantee is approved. We will now move on to item 11F, approval of the police pension fund actuarial assumption change. Is there a motion and a second to discuss and vote on agenda item 11F?
I'll make the motion.
We have a first from trustee Roscoff. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second from trustee Bonnie. Finance director Matt Anastasia has a board report on this item.
Sure. So, just so everyone's aware, so when we do an actuarial study for the police pension, state of Illinois requires a funding policy as of 2040. That's their standard, but it's at a 90% funding level. The village has always done a actuarial study to actually fund that at 100% funding level. So we are currently at 2025, so we're at the 15-year point. So our actuaries have actually come to us. They come to everybody. A lot of the new practices coming out from GFOA, which is government finance officers, and the actuarial side is changing how you do a funding ratio. So essentially, instead of a single point, meaning 2040, it's kind of a rolling funding. So you'll never essentially get to 100%, but you'll be at about 99% funded. What it does, it smooths the funding fluctuations year to year, because you're not chasing a number. You are taking, say this year at 15 years, you're taking the amount that's unfunded and funding that over 15 years. So you're really, every year after that, only funding the change that's happening year to year. So what it does for the village is it smooths out our fluctuations. So we're not gonna see such large fluctuations, and if we have good years, you'll actually see some dips potentially. This was brought to the police pension board before here because while the village contracts Lauterbach and Ammon to do the actuary, so we have the say over the assumptions, we wanted to make sure the police pension fund was okay with this. They were okay with this, bringing it to the board. Under the understanding, the one real concern was what happens if that contribution dips below the state mandated minimum, and that answer is always, we're funding the state mandated minimum. Regardless of what our second actuary says, if the state actuary comes back and tells us that it is higher than what they're telling us, we would always fund that level. So this is really just a funding assumption change, but the board has to approve just that assumption so that Lauterbach, you have the draft in there. Because it's in year 15, it doesn't change the funding this year because we're at that first year. But they have put the draft in with that change, and then moving forward, it will be noted and that change will be moved forward. So really just looking for board approval since we are the contractor of the actuary.
Is there any discussion?
So I have a question. So whether on the current method or this method, is there much of a change in the last 5 years? Funding is much different?
So the funding would actually change, yes. So going forward, because you're funding them on a shorter period of time, you have a smaller funding amount, but you also have a shorter funding period. So the actual changes have roughly been somewhere in the $50,000 range. We should expect to see them slightly decrease in how much they change year to year, because you're not running it. And what it does is it really affects your year 14 and 15 when you're a year or two from it, because if you have a huge actuarial change in year 2038 before it, say it goes from your unfunded now at 400, but that 1 year change makes it 700, well, you only have 2 years to fund that because you're hitting a single point at 2040. So if that last year we have a huge change, whether it's some retirements, any changes in our funding, any changes in demographics, technically our funding could double in 1 year because you're using one singular point. This smooths it out so that whether you're getting to that point or not, this funding will always
so be overfunded at some point because of this?
You will be overfunded in the sense of the state, but not 100%. You could,
Yeah.
I won't say you can't, because if you have years with good returns, you could essentially be overfunded over 100%, but most likely no. But you will be overfunded on what the state is considering the 90% funding ratio. So yes.
105 somewhere.
So anywhere from, they said you'll really never get below 95 is what the goal is. And that's what this does, is it helps you get to the funding level.
It makes sense, yeah.
So really just looking for board approval to include that in that before they finalize the actual.
Is there any other discussion?
I just want to confirm, the police, it was okay with the police pension board, right?
Yes, yeah, it was
And-
presented at their last meeting.
Excellent. And you like this idea?
Yes, yeah, we've discussed this, we do it with our capital funds, we do everything that we can smooth out the fluctuations, and year-to-year budgeting always helps us, and that's what this does, it will help us not see such huge changes, year to year.
That's good to me.
Any other discussion? Can you call the roll, please, Tracy?
I'm sorry, who made the motion in second?
Trustee Roscoe and Trustee Bonnie.
Trustee Roscoe?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and item 11F, approval of the police pension fund actuarial assumption change is approved. Our next item is 11G, a resolution authorizing a representative to sign loan documents. Is there a motion and a second to discuss and vote on item 11G?
So moved.
Second.
We have a first from Trustee Special and a second from Trustee, I'm sorry, who's that, Bonnie? Trustee Bonnie. Finance Director Matt Anastasia has a board report on this item as well.
Yes, so I know we usually talk about these things in discussion first, but this became a timing issue from the engineers. We hired EEI to prepare the project plan to submit to IEPA for their safe drinking water loan program. They have completed those documents, and one of the requirements is having a resolution on file that allows an authorized representative of the village to sign any of those documents to apply for the grant. It is not to sign for the grant, that would come back for an approval. This is just to sign the documents as we're moving through that process. So this is to put that on file, to have Scott or his designee be the authorized signer for the village to sign the loan documents as that process comes along, and then.
But not the actual loan documents you're saying?
What, yeah.
It says to sign loan documents.
Correct, because it's loan application documents, they're all the same, and then if we do get the loan, it would, all that would come back to the board for approval of the actual loan. But this is just to continue through the application process.
Are there any other?
So should you modify it and say loan application documents instead?
We can, the resolution itself does say that, the board report does say loan documents, that's just how it's presented as the engineer, but I believe the actual resolution does say application. But if you would like to, we can make sure that it says application.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Okay.
It is in the, Tracy pulled up on the screen, it does say application on the, in the resolution.
Oh, okay, gotcha, okay.
Is there any other discussion? Tracy, please call the roll.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
Trustee Roscoe?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and item 11G, a resolution authorizing a representative to sign loan documents is approved. At this time, the board will enter executive session. Is there a motion and a second to enter executive session to discuss personnel 5 ILCS 120-2C1 and litigation 5 ILCS 122C11?
I'll make that motion.
We have a first from Trustee Michaels. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And a second from Trustee Roscoe.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Roscoe?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and we will enter executive session at this time. Right, our next item of general business is item 11H.
Wow.
So I'll make a motion to reconvene the meeting.
Second.
We have a motion from Trustee Michaels to reconvene and a second from Trustee Special. We will reconvene at this time with a vote. Please, Tracy.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
Trustee Roscoe?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and we will reconvene at this time. Our next item of general business is item 11H, a resolution authorizing the village president to sign an engagement letter with Griffin, Williams, McMahon, and Walsh LLC. Is there a motion and second to discuss and vote on agenda item 11H?
So moved.
12H.
I think it's 12H.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. It looks like it's misnumbered, sorry. A motion and second to discuss and vote on agenda item 12H.
so moved.
We have a first from I'm sorry, who was that? A first from trustee Special. Is there a second? And a second from trustee Rothwell. Village Administrator Scott Koppel has a board report on this item.
Thank you. This is a resolution authorizing the village president to sign an engagement letter. This would be for specifically to have GWMW representing the village in the Caneland 302 lawsuit over the TIF. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Village attorney can answer questions as well. And Mr. Williams from, Attorney Williams from GWMW is here as well.
Is there any discussion at this time? Hearing none, Tracy, please call the roll.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
Trustee Roscoe?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and general business item 12H, authorizing the village president to sign an engagement letter with Griffin, Williams, McMahon, and Walsh LLC has been approved. Our next item is public comment. Would anyone like to make a public comment at this time? Yes.
Hi, I'm Bob Ramondi, proceed, move it on, or whatever. So anyway, I just wanted to say a couple minor things. I just volunteered for this. I did not, they didn't seek me out or anything else. I've been to many of your meetings, and I've done a lot of other stuff with Blackberry Township, Kane County, dealing with the quarry expansion, the concrete plant, asphalt plant work that's always been going on, and changes that they've tried to make. I've been involved with all those. I've lived here for 38 years. I put an open invitation out to the board. Several weeks ago, we were having a garden walk, two of them at our house, through the National Garden Conservancy, that you have to be invited to do this type of walk. Bill Curtis and 3 other people in Northern Illinois were on that particular walk. Our house was one of those that was chosen. I put it out there just so that you guys can see who I am, what I am, why I do this, why I feel the way I do about this area. And I just wanted to say, I'm sorry you didn't choose me, whichever. It doesn't do anything for me, it does it for you guys. You had your opportunity to come out, do whatever, see me, meet me, see what my feelings were about everything, see the area I live in too. Yes, I am just outside your border and everything else. I have made many public comments about different things that we won't go into here. And I just feel very strongly about how things are done. And I just make it my point known to you, to you, and let you know who I was. I mean, several of you know who I am. I've been at, like I said, lots of you, and I've spoken up a number of times. And I've sat through some very long meetings that people do, very long. So I'm just sorry that it hasn't worked out, and hopefully you'll find somebody that will feel the same. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this since 1975. I've had my own business for 25 years. I just closed two weeks ago and retired. So I have a little bit of free time now, but it seems to be getting eaten up already and whatnot. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to make a public comment?
Good evening, Jaden Chatham. Totally different topic. I just wanted to thank the village for being involved in the Sugar Grove Corn Boil this year, specifically President Stillwell and Trustee London for volunteering almost the entire weekend, both at the info tent, and Nora for being in the craft and vendor market when help was needed. And congrats to President Stillwell and Trustee Lundy for winning the corn shucking competition. And Sean and Dave Pollock were also involved in that. So yeah, if anybody else wants to be involved next year, just let us know. We could always use the help. Mike, if you want to come volunteer next year.
I'll volunteer next year.
Yeah, we'd be happy to have everybody there next year, so thank you.
Thank you.
You didn't bring our trophy.
I was actually going to bring it tonight and I forgot, so I will make sure it gets to the village.
Fine.
Would anyone else like to make a public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to discussion items. Item A is a Sugar Grove Township rezoning and civic use PUD. Community Development Director Danny Merriam will present this item.
You have before you a petition from the Sugar Grove Township Highway Department for a civic use PUD and rezoning of 2 parcels of their 4 parcels that they occupy on Main and First Street from R2 detached residential to B3 regional business district. The Highway Department is in need of building a new storage shed due to giving up storage space when they gave their space that they had on Main Street behind the community building to the food pantry, who was in need of a larger space. Due to limitations in the village code, it was determined the best route for them to take was to apply for a civic use PUD that incorporates all 4 parcels occupied by the township on Main Street and First Street. The first step, however, is to rezone the 2 parcels that are currently zoned R2 to B3. Civic use PUDs are not permitted in the R2 zoning district. This will also bring all 4 parcels into the same zoning. The Township Highway Department use is also a special use in our zoning code, along with building an accessory structure in the B3 zoning district. Therefore, the civic use PUD will allow them to come into compliance with their code with their current use on the property, as well as allowing them to build the needed storage shed. The civic use PUD allows the village board to grant more extensive deviations than you generally would be able to grant with a residential PUD or a commercial PUD. The following deviations are being requested by the township. The first one, the petitioner is requesting a deviation to waive the building setback requirements with a minimum setback matching the smallest existing setback, which is 3 feet 3 inches. The second one, the petitioner is requesting a deviation to allow factory finished corrugated metal panels for the new storage structure. The petitioner is requesting a deviation to allow multiple buildings on the same lot. They are requesting a deviation to allow accessory structures to have a building height up to 20 feet. A deviation to allow the lot coverage to be calculated as cumulative lot coverage for all 4 parcels and not to exceed 70%. They're requesting a deviation to allow the open storage area to have a hard surface of pavement or stone. And they're requesting a deviation to waive the screening provisions for the property and to allow for an 8-foot tall chain link fence in all yards around the property. And finally, they're requesting a deviation to waive the submittal of the following items. First one is landscape plan / tree preservation plan, photometric plan, development schedule, architectural drawings, traffic impact study, proposed covenants, utility plans, school parks, and land cash estimate, King DuPage land use study, and preliminary and final plat of subdivision. All of these, the majority of these deviations are just addressing the existing conditions that are on the lot. They have been functioning there for years. Most of their buildings and setbacks are not up to what our code would require today. The Planning Commission held the required public hearing on July 16th. Their discussion included the newly proposed storage building, fencing, landscaping, and trees, and the requested deviations. The Commission voted unanimously to recommend the Village Board approve the proposed rezoning and preliminary and final civic use PUD with the following conditions. The Township Supervisor must sign off on project prior to the Village Board approval. They must obtain Village Engineer approval. No outdoor storage shall be permitted, and should the township ever vacate the site, the PUD is no longer valid. I will say with these conditions, we have received the sign off from the township supervisor since the plan commission meeting. There were very minor village engineer comments on their original submittal, so there's not a lot that needs to be completed or changed in that sense. As a township highway department, they are not permitted to have any outdoor storage, so that's just kind of reiterating that there will be no outdoor storage. And then obviously, we don't want another use to come in and take over that PUD that may not be a civic use. So staff is requesting that the board discuss the proposed rezoning and the civic use PUD and provide direction on preparing the necessary ordinance. Staff recommends the approval of the rezoning and the civic use PUD, and the applicants are here to answer any questions that you may have.
The chain link fence, is that existing already?
It's existing.
Okay.
Mhm. And the deviation for the screening requirements, their property is already heavily screened with wooded around it, so you really can't even see the chain link fence anyways. So we really felt it was unnecessary to require them to have to do additional screening, that just to build an additional storage building, because they gave up space for the food pantry.
Is there not screening on the chain link fence facing the Legion?
It's the old school chain link fence.
Oh.
The slats don't even fit in that.
Okay.
We got two gates. We got a gate in front we can close for, keep
Security.
people out. And then we had a back gate in case we wanted to have a road going out to Main Street at one time. Because we own that property going out through.
Would you mind coming up to the podium and introducing yourself, sir?
I'm Doug Musser, Highway Commissioner, Sherwood
Thank-
Road District.
Thanks, Doug.
Okay.
That was one item I thought we might want to incorporate is the screening, but landscaping, more netting or something.
We have a field on the back of us, or to the side of us, we have a vacant parking lot with weeds behind us.
Yeah.
And then we have the Historical Society with only about 30 feet of fence there.
Oh, okay.
And the rest faces First Street.
First Street, yeah.
And,
That's right.
and the Legion,
Okay.
which we keep that open because we have an agreement with the Legion that overflow parking, they can, be in a public lot, we let them fill it up.
And it is a ordinance or some type
No,
of
it's a-
state
it's
law
a
that you
intergovernmental
can't?
agreement.
Oh, okay. But there's some
Oh, the
law?
outdoor storage.
Yeah, about the.
Oh, that's state
yeah,
statute.
Really?
Yeah, it's gotta be on the roof.
That just says how clean you kept your yard.
Yeah, that's because we hide everything in the grass.
Good. I would like to, we have a surplus that we're gonna talk about later tonight, but I'd like to see us address drainage on First Street so that, if anything can be done now while you guys are under construction, we can take care of any drainage issues ahead of time and get that engineered.
Seems to be draining well. We have out in front of the gate, close-in gate, there's a manhole there.
Uh-huh.
It comes through the complex, and we have a manhole beehive there in our lot.
Okay.
And we ditched it in out to Main Street. And our plan was to take the two gutters from the building to the north and the new building, tie into that, 45s, have another beehive back by the Historical Society, and it'll take their lot in and out to Main Street.
Okay. Takes a lot of surface water.
Yeah, well, it's not gonna be a lot more than what's already going in there, but yeah, this should cover everything and keep all the ice and water and stuff off the pavement. It's just, yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any other discussion?
I'm good with it.
I'm good.
Our next item is an IGA in lieu of letter of credit for local governments. Community Development Director Danny Merriam will present this item as well.
So will this come back at the next meeting on consent or, okay. So, you guys are good?
Yeah, there's no sense. Both schools are
Okay, keeping with the theme, the village has recently had a few projects come about from other government agencies. One of the requirements for for like the final plat of subdivision for the fire department, for example, is we require them to provide a letter of credit for 120% of the engineer's estimate of probable cost to cover any public improvements that might be done on the site. We have gotten pushback from other government agencies about requiring this. The thought came of allowing them to provide us and enter into an IGA with us, since they're another governmental body, rather than requiring them to give us a letter of credit that ties up their funds. Part of the fire department, they also have to comply with the King County Stormwater Ordinance, which a lot of these projects do. They also require a letter of credit for that stormwater permit. We cannot waive that requirement, so these government agencies are still required to provide the letter of credit pertaining to the stormwater permit. However, we have the authority to do a text amendment, is what we would probably have to do if you're interested, to allow an alternative for government agencies to enter into a letter, or into an IGA instead of the letter of credit for these improvements.
I worked on this with Danny. I pulled some of my peers, and this is common in other places, especially some other counties that don't have as strict of a stormwater ordinance as Kane. I don't recommend we do it with the stormwater, but as far as for utilities, one of the large reasons we have these letters of credit is because of businesses that could potentially disappear overnight and not be here, and we have to then, the improvements would be on the backs of the village to get these up to standards. We have a wonderful relationship with our taxing bodies, and we feel we're not in danger of them going anywhere. So I think that this is an opportunity where, it's the same taxpayers that are funding us that are funding them, where this is something where we could work together and have an IGA saying that, we're not going to accept these until they're appropriately taken care of, and have an IGA in place for projects like this. So that's where this came about from discussions I had with Chief Moran. He's also here to talk about his project and what the letters of credit would do to the effect it'd have on the fire district. If you'd like to ask him any questions as well. Thank you.
I have a question about IGAs. So if you have an IGA and there's disagreement on the road, there's no way to enforce it, right? Like if the village thinks it's not up to par and the other party says it is, there's really nothing you can do, right?
Well, our attorney, Mike Garrigan, maybe can speak better than I can about enforcing an IGA, but I believe he can.
Yes, it's an agreement between the village and whatever municipal other entity you're dealing with.
So it's enforceable.
It is enforceable. I mean, obviously, you would have mutual benefit for both parties, but yes, it is enforceable.
I was thinking the same way. Would you put together, I don't know if adjudication's the right word, but some type of panel that, if there was a dispute, that both parties could present their case?
Yes, there could be some type of mediation provision in there for mediation, so you come to a mutual agreement, and that's something that's quite common in IGAs.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
Go.
Is there any other discussion on this item, or did anyone have questions for Chief Moran?
How much would the letter of credit be for you? I see all the earth moving equipment out on the site of the new station. It's quite a bit.
Like Danny said, it's a letter of credit for the entire project. The entire project was estimated at $725,000. So at the 120% requirement, it's now $870,000, which cost us 1% just on the face to get the letter of credit. So that's $9,200 out the door for a guarantee that we're going to do what we already said we're going to do. What we talked with everybody here is that our contractors bonded for the full amount of the project. As far as the stormwater ordinance, if it was back down to that, the King County Stormwater Ordinance is 110% of the project. The project for the stormwater alone is $75,000, so it's a lot more palatable. It's $1,300 is what that's going to cost us versus $8,000. Not to mention the fact that in order for me to get a letter of credit, I have to collateralize it. So I have to pull it out of our investment accounts, make it 5% interest, and give it to a bank at 2.5% interest, and it has to stay there for the length of the project. So the banks recommend that they'll wrap it up for a year. Well, that's also the money that I need to pay the contractor for the project. So it's kind of
double-edged sword, and like Scott was saying too, is that we're a government entity, we're not going anywhere, we're taxing base as well. We've already gone through all the engineering with everybody, with the EEI and the village engineer, and the stormwaters that we put in the way that the village requires it, so we appreciate the consideration of waiving the entire thing. Obviously, if it's just on the stormwater, we can deal with that as well, but appreciate the consideration of the application.
Okay for me?
As long as the mediation, they're fine, but.
And just to clarify, this would apply to all of the government entities, so like the park district, if they were putting in a park, would also have this have the letter of credit waived.
The text amendment that we'll bring forward, which will have to go to the planning commission and then eventually come to the village board for approval, will be for all government agencies would be eligible to do this.
Okay.
That's the intent of what we would do.
Is there any other discussion? Thank you. Our next item is transferring the fund balance for fiscal year 2024 and 2025. Finance Director Amanda Anastasia will present this item.
So, with a new board, so I want to just kind of give background on what we're going to be discussing. Every year there's an annual audit completed. What we've done over the last probably 4 years, which it was done previously, it kind of stopped for a little bit, but we brought back was the village has a 25% operating fund balance within our water fund and general fund. What we like to do every year is review that at audit time prior to finalization to transfer any excess above that to other capital funds for needs that we have. Obviously, we just had that big discussion regarding the police department. That's where the majority has gone, and all of it has gone over the years for the general fund. So what we do is look at it on an annual basis once the audit draft numbers come back and final review has been complete. So what this process is with the board is discussing what the surplus is and then determining where the board feels they want to transfer the excess surplus out of the general fund and or water fund if there is one in the water fund. This year there isn't one that is requiring a transfer, so right now we're really just focusing on the general fund. So as we kind of talk through this, looking at our reserves, we anticipated it being roughly 27%. We had a larger surplus. A lot of that had to do with, again, good things, higher revenues, lower expenses. So right now we're looking at, in total, the fund balance increased 511,000, but of that, it wasn't all unrestricted, so there were some prepaids in there and then there's restricted funds. So as we're going through, you can see 376,000 of that is unrestricted, which means unrestricted in the audit world just means those are funds that are accessible to the village to do for projects that you would like to do. So what the proposal is right now is to transfer 350,000 from the general fund to the general capital fund, where you're funding the police department out of. Obviously with the bids, that is a clear necessity, and that was what was proposed, especially during my discussion. The second on here, the attachment shows kind of the fund balance and what it looks like in that capital fund that we're funding the police department out of. Showing, I did include the 350 because that is staff recommendation just with the increase in cost. So I know it's very small, but if you can zoom, you can see that a little bit better if you're looking at this current fiscal year of 26. You can kind of see where our funding comes from for the capital and showing all of the expenses. So what I did was show just this year that we have, because we don't really know what next year brings. So we know we're looking at our annual transfers that we do. That's the 315,000 this year, and 404 is our capital fees that we're collecting on permits. We don't have anything projected next year. That number would increase too, so that it adds to the revenues going into this account to fund. But as you can see, in 27, after we've now paid off the police department, it does show a negative. That's just a negative for the project, not the fund. The fund has over $2 million in that fund. So we're not externally having any debt. We're just internally borrowing our own money. So with this isn't showing that 770,000 for fiscal year 25 includes the 350,000.
that is being proposed. Now, if that changes, that obviously changes all the numbers down the road. So it's open for board discussion on where the funds, the 350 is what we're talking about, where that goes is now up to the board. Staff is just recommending that based on the current bid on the police department.
And then without, if it wasn't used for the police department, is there another place that police department extra
So
money would have?
it would just still come from this fund. It's borrowing from our equipment and replacement schedule,
Okay.
which is totally fine because we are 100% funded for
Okay.
every vehicle that we have in the village.
Okay.
That would be if a tornado came through and hit every single car and we had to replace it today. Realistically, is that going to happen? No, especially without an insurance claim. So we are just internally funding and borrowing from ourselves to not have to get debt externally. So there is, if you took it out, it would just lower everything by 350,000 if that's what the board wanted to do. You're just internally using more of your own money.
I think what President Stillwell was asking is there any projects that have been identified that the 350 could go towards by staff or things that were budgeted but we didn't?
In the capital fund, no. Our main focus right now, it has been this police department from the beginning, because I think we all just anticipated an increase in cost just with everything that was happening. So we didn't really identify anything additional, just knowing until this bid was finalized, we weren't aware, if anything. But nothing's been identified in the capital fund. Fund 30, I know some of the stuff you're talking about, we could possibly, if you want to talk about the road fund, but the road fund has funds in there that if we wanted to discuss that type of a project, we can do that. I think we're still recommending this just based on the discussion we just had on that, but I know we talk road fund, and we can, so however we want to talk about it. I mean, if we want to continue on this, we can then talk about road fund. It can be a separate discussion.
Wait, I'm sorry, you switched back and forth,
So Sean was bringing up, like with First Street, about with some of the sewer and flooding issues, but that would kind of come out of our road fund or water fund, depending on what was needed.
Right.
So it's kind of separate than this conversation if we want to talk the
Oh.
transfer. Now, if the board doesn't want to transfer the 350 to there and we want to use it in the road for this project, that's up to the board as well.
Right, but you're recommending the 350 go toward the police department?
Yes.
I think that makes sense.
My recommendation is for that just because that was how I based my discussion during the bid of the police department. So that would just change the numbers of kind of how much we're borrowing internally. But that would still be my recommendation because we have additional funds to do other projects in the road fund if we wouldn't want to. So I think we should I want to focus on the police department.
So I'll be somewhat of the contrary and think that, this police department is gonna be for the long term. And perfect example is the existing village hall. It's been in place for 30 years. So undertaking some bonding might not be a bad idea. I don't even know if it's bonding. It might be just going to the bank if we don't, put enough funds away. But things I'd like to see us undertake, and it doesn't have to be now with this money, it's just a way to throw things out, is a sign at the corner of Bliss and Denny Road, engineering for First Street, a traffic study. We've been talking about updating the traffic study. And then there's a sidewalk that we could extend in front of Healy Chapel to connect the sidewalks from Aldi north up to First Secure Bank. So those are just projects, and again, I'm throwing them out there to get some discussion going.
Sean, by traffic study, do you mean like a transportation plan for the whole village?
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
It's been talked about, and I think the plan's pretty old. So those are items that I just throw out there, and maybe staff needs to say, we can put them into the next year's budget, which is fine.
Yeah, I'll add these to our list that we can discuss. We can discuss a little bit more in depth now that we know during 6 months, just to see where we're at.
Yeah.
And then if we want to, we can start for the budget process as well, adding those. I know we had transportation discussion costs for the transportation plan this budget year, and it was 125,000, I think was our rough estimate to do an updated transportation plan. And at that time, it was just, I think we said, well, let's look at it.
Yeah.
So we'll get a more formal proposal on some of these items to bring back.
But if the board would like to move the funds into the capital, I'm fine with that. I think none of these projects that I really identified are budget busters or things that could be incorporated in next year's budget.
So I'm happy with Matt's suggestion of putting it toward the capital fund, which is the police department fund. Okay.
I'm happy with that. Your suggestion as well.
I'll bring that back to the next meeting for approval. And just on that, once that's approved, the audit will then come back. The
Was
second-
there a $50,000 surplus, an additional $50,000 that could be spent on other projects? For some reason, I thought there was $400,000.
No, so 376 of unrestricted.
Oh.
Change in fund balance.
Oh.
So. Yeah, it was 511 total, but that included prepaids and restricted funds. And then 376 was the unrestricted, so we're using 350 of that.
And it's 25%, did we pass that as an ordinance or?
Yeah, it's part of our reserve policy of all of our financial policies.
And that was a requirement by Standard & Poor's, basically, that.
Yeah, it's very good for your bond ratings. It's also best practices for all the government finance agencies, is to have them, especially in your water and general fund. We also have a 12.5% in the refuse fund.
Is there any other discussion on this item? All right. Our next item is the utility billing policy, and Finance Director Amanda Anastasia will also present on this item.
Sure, this was actually brought from Trustee Bonnie at the last meeting to just bring it back as a discussion back in December of 24, I believe. The board kind of memorialized utility billing policies that were being used, and then also bringing back those questions that we've gotten before, sod, irrigation systems, pool billings, to see where the board sat on and felt with the village's policies. So during that meeting and with that approval, the board did go forward with a one-time pool billing credit on an annual basis, and then they did vote not to have anything regarding sod, water, and irrigations. Those were the two, I think, biggest topics that were brought up that we get calls from the finance department and utility billing. So we wanted the board's opinion on those policies. So that was done in the end of 24. So this is really just to bring back the discussion to the board to see if they want to make another change to it. I did include the water conservation section regarding our code, just showing kind of those, we have days and times that we have to water and can't water, we can see when that happens. So it's just information though from our department. I will say pool and water irrigations are very hard for us to estimate how much that could cost or change our revenues because we don't track it. We can't see it until someone calls us. So we don't know if somebody just has high water usage or they're watering. So there's really not a way for me to determine how much we would lose in revenue if something were to change. If we were doing it based on like kind of a credit of usage. If there's something else, a flat fee or something else, we could look at it, but without knowing every single user and resident water usage, we can't really give an estimate of how much the change in revenue would be. So it's really up to the board on policy on how you want to do it. So I'm open to discussions.
Matt, I have just a comment, not a suggestion. I lived in a community like 20 years ago, and they had residents could buy a separate meter to keep, like, they'll hook up their outside stuff to the meter, and then they told them the reading that they deduct that out of the sewer. And
so that is one. So if you looked at the survey that I had provided, and I provided that back in 24, I think there were 2 communities that do give watering credits. One of them is Genoa, and Genoa does that exact thing. They give out a separate meter that somebody can come in, just very similar to a hydrant meter, and hook it up where the water for the outside spigot goes directly through that, so that we know what it is.
Is it much easier that way instead of this whole thing back and forth?
I will defer to Public Works on that, because from my side, I'm just handling the billing. It's more if they're going out and installing these.
Yeah.
I can't answer logistically how that works, or if we have that many meters, I don't know, but.
We've got away from that because of maintenance. I mean, we you have 4,200 meters in the system already to maintain and readers, so then if you had a secondary meter and a reader, that's another
True, okay.
$150. I mean, the resident would probably likely pay it, but then the village have to maintain it eventually.
Sure.
And be responsible for replacing it in the future. So, there was a lot of homes in Pressbury like that, because they were on their own water supply back in the day. But as we switched them over from the village, we eliminated all the second meters.
Yeah, and I know, Genoa, it's not a permanent second meter, it's a temp, so.
And we do offer, like, for new yards, they can come get a hydrant meter from us and hook to the fire hydrant for another house. You know, and pay that flat fee per 1,000 gallons. Or if they're filling the pool, they can come get a hydrant meter and fill it that way too. So, we offer alternatives or options.
Are there any villages that you're aware of that have, you were saying a flat fee is more predictable with the effect on the revenue? Are there any that have, like, if you fill up your pool, you get $100 off or whatever?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I know, I think Fox Metro does a flat, like 15,000 gallons, like it's just a flat amount. What we do right now for pool fillings for year one is we look at the average of the month, 3 months prior to that increase to see what your average was.
Makes sense.
That's how we do the credit, and it's a one-time credit. I know some people are saying, well, I fill my pool multiple times a year if I have to drain it, and again, village board policy was 1 time a year, but that can be discussed and changed if that's what the board want to do. Irrigation is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's really, like, from the billing perspective, there's no way to give you a dollar amount. So I think that's the hardest answer, is giving you how much it's going to change our revenues until we start seeing how many there are. Because
How much irrigation, I mean,
so the only thing we know with irrigation is they do have to be certified through an RPZ certification. So we do know who has irrigation systems. That's the only way. But people just putting a sprinkler out is not an irrigation system. So those people would not be part of, if you're giving a credit on people who have RPZ certifications. So our perspective, it's not hard to implement something if the board wanted to, but it's how do you determine.
And then any credits would be offset by a rate increase.
I mean, essentially that's gonna, yeah, if revenues decrease enough, you have to make up for it somewhere.
Pretty close to.
Yeah, we've kind of kept them stagnant and not trying to raise them, and we're pretty close to a surplus that's break even.
Right.
So, but I don't know the dollar amount until kind of a year would go by where I'm getting phone calls saying we have 20 people or it's 100 people. I don't know. That's the hard part for me to quantify how much it would be. So I'm open to whatever the board would like to discuss.
Is it possible, could I ask the resident that spoke on the issue a question? Was it irrigation that you were requesting a credit on?
Yeah, well, that's what I use my sprinkler every other day for a
Oh,
problem.
is it a sprinkler?
It's a sprinkler system.
A sprinkler system.
Irrigation.
Is it like you were saying RPG systems?
Yeah, so
qualify?
the irrigation system should have an RPZ
Yes, I do
certification.
have an RPG system.
Okay.
And that's through Public Works. They get the
It's a
certification.
backflow.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it so just to clarify, Fox? I'm sorry, I'm getting tired of this, but Fox Metro issues a flat credit for those.
For the pools, I don't know what they do for irrigation.
Okay.
So I don't. He may be able to speak to that.
Yeah,
I don't know what the irrigation
I
credit.
get my bill and I just call them up and Fox Metro, and I tell them that I have an irrigation system, and they just look at my previous bills in my winter months, and they give me a credit. So like this last bill was $400. They gave me they reduced it from $400 to $113.
Okay.
So it was a $280 savings.
And
So it sounds like what we do for pools, where we do a look back,
okay.
is what they're also doing for irrigations with Fox Metro.
Did you say we only allow one pool? Oh, okay.
Well, 1 a year.
Phil.
So you
Okay.
can call us and ask for a pool filling credit, but it's only a 1 time a year, and
Okay.
And did you say you do know how many RPG
So
systems?
Public Works tracks all those, so we would know how many RPZs. I don't know that off the top of my head. That was just brought, that idea was brought up just now as how we identify irrigations. But again, if somebody's just putting out a sprinkler and they're calling us saying I was watering my grass,
Right, yeah.
not every new house or people have irrigation systems. So they're kind of giving a credit to people because they're certifying an
Yeah.
irrigation system. So they do have a number. I don't know that number. I can get it if you would like.
If you don't mind, do you think it's possible to get that number and then, so say we used like a Fox Metro's credit or a portion of it, and then estimate what the effect would be on the revenue and
Just based
whether
on
it's-
irrigation systems?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I think, as far as I know, that is all the residents are asking for additionally at this time, since there's already a pool filling credit.
Okay. I can do it based on,
But
if there's 200, I can do a look back. I
But
mean, it might take a little bit because I don't like giving you a round number, so I'm gonna probably look up every account and give you an average, but I should be able
I mean,
to
I,
get something back.
I always have a concern on water conservation because it is important. So there's always a plus and a minus. You know, you can do it with your rate. In other words, you can say, okay, average person uses 1,000 gallons a month. So to discourage unnecessary, depending on what you want to call, watering lawn, you know, you can do a variable rate. We don't currently do that. I mean, I thought maybe adding a second pool credit, because it truly is just a swimming pool, instead of just one a year. But I do have concerns about sprinkling and sprinkling systems because it is imperative with water conservation. It is always. And there's always, it goes back and forth on watering lawn and versus necessity and important of water conservation. So
I think Matt brings up a good point for those that don't have an irrigation system but use a sprinkler. Are they able to call in and get the credits?
So the RPG systems, are they for lawns mostly, or are they for like agriculture?
No.
Well, the RPZ would be put on a residential irrigation system.
Oh, residential. So it's a water
yeah,
lawn.
And commercial buildings would have it too on their fire suppression and their domestic services.
Okay.
yeah, they're backflow preventers. In other words, especially with sprinkling systems for lawns, you don't want cross contamination from lawn chemicals or whatever to get into the water system. So that's why it's required there. Commercial businesses are required to have all the, I mean, there's
And then
a
each
list, yeah.
residential house and just a regular domestic service has a dual check valve installed.
Right. You do have something in your house to prevent that problem as well.
And when this was brought up, I kind of looked into it in water conservation under code. That's why I looked it up. Is
Yeah.
more timing of people watering, and not saying that anybody is, but if we're looking back at people's usages and now they're using water when they're not supposed to be watering, now what? Now are we going for them for violating our code? And I don't know that we want to get into that where they're calling for a credit and now something's happening with the code.
I mean, just
So
Matt did a survey. I mean, I'm actually surprised that there's so many more no's than yeses. I mean, I thought I would at least find 50-50, but not even close.
I think the conversation that I've had is it's so hard to determine how to give it besides just people saying I have high water usage in the summer, we don't know where it's coming from. It's hard to determine where that's coming from. Irrigation systems are a little bit easier because we know they're certified and we can tell that you have one.
Yeah.
Everything else, I don't know how you're using water. I can just see that you're using water.
But then the credit would only be for the sewer portion of the
Yeah.
bill because, I mean, we still have to.
Correct.
We still have the cost to pump the water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the pool filling is just a sewer credit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a water credit, it's just a sewer credit.
Alright, so, common sense here is just January 1st through February 15th, or 1st of the 15th of January through the 2nd month, so exactly 30 days, sewer usage bill is $6.89. You go into the summer months from May to June, and it goes to $180.64. You know, so I guess we're charging for the sewer usage for water that's not going through the sewer. The question is, how do you prove it doesn't go through the sewer? So I'm in the opinion of, well, you have to prove it. And the way you prove it is when you have that irrigation system and you have that certification that comes through. So that there's no disagreement or anything anything of evidential, like, you know, you have evidence when you come saying, hey, I have an irrigation system. Clearly, one with common sense can look back in January, see that my sewer bill is $6.89. Now in the summer, my irrigation system's on and it's $180. And then you're looking, you know, you can look again back, another bill that was sent to me was from the 15th to the 2nd, the $14 sewage fee, and now it's a $250 sewage fee. My question is, why are we charging a sewage fee? What's the deal with that? Matt, you want to explain why the sewage fee is being paid?
Sure. So we get these questions all the time when either new residents come in and why do we have a sewer fee, and then they also get a Fox Metro bill. We have to maintain the lines leading up to Fox Metro's lines, which are 15 inches.
Yeah. Good, everything under 15.
And everything under 15 inches, the village has to maintain. So if we need to replace it, that's on the village. Lift stations, those are the village. Those are not Fox Metro. So that's where our sewer charges come from, is the maintenance of all of that. I know we get calls too because people are saying, I'm not here, I'm a snowbird, why do I still have a base fee? Well, the sewer that goes to your house is still there. We have to maintain that regardless if water is going through it. We charge you the usage when you start using it. So those are the differences between Fox Metro, who is treating the sanitary, versus us, we're maintaining all the lines leading to Fox Metro. So that's where our fee comes in, so that's why we're charging.
So that's where the sewage fee comes in, and that makes some sense. So,
There's a line item on the bill that's for sewage maintenance. So
Correct.
there's already a separate line item for that.
Correct.
There are two sewage line items.
usage and sewage maintenance.
So the maintenance.
What's the difference between the two?
So the maintenance is a flat fee, it's not based on usage. So the flat fee is whether you're using water or not, because we're still maintaining it leading into your home. The usage is when you start using it, we have to now transport it all the way to Fox Metro through the lift stations or the sewers.
No,
So we're maintaining it regardless if you're using it, but it's just a flat fee, you're not getting charged any usage on it.
Right. And as water conservation looks like, I was under the impression, and I would have to maybe do a little bit more research, but I thought the actual irrigation systems reduce the amount of water that is being utilized while watering grass, because it's directed in specific zones at specific times. It's not just somebody putting out a sprinkler system and letting it run for hours in the same location. So I think we should, I would imagine that people with the irrigation system actually, I'm just speculating here, actually probably haven't set up at specific times, to adhere to those laws, the ordinances, and actually use less water possibly than somebody who just randomly puts sprinklers out and on their own, or but I think that as we look at these numbers, I personally would really like to see a way that we could offset some of the larger sewage usage fees with the permitting fees as it comes to those irrigation systems that people have. I don't think the people that have the random sprinkler out in their front yard, they're not watering Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 6 to 9, 6 to 9. They're just putting them out at random times. Maybe some of them are, but the majority, I would imagine, would not be. I would say you probably have more.
They're in violation of the village code.
Who is?
Anybody that waters every day of the week.
Oh, I must have misspoke then. I meant the people that have the irrigation system are set up on a time that is always with the city ordinance. So they therefore would water probably more often than somebody who does not have one, such as myself, who would then just go out on my day that I'm able to by city ordinance from the time to put it out. So my bill most likely won't be as high as somebody who has an irrigation system. That's what I'm trying to say. So as we look at offsetting the costs, yeah, my bill may be higher, but it's probably not astronomically as high as some of these other ones that are running.
But what would you not do is deserve a credit? If I have an irrigation system, you do not. Why should I get a credit?
Well, you're paying to have an irrigation system too, so you're gonna be paying, in addition to your bill, you're also paying a yearly fee to have that. But I would like to see is maybe offsetting that yearly fee with a credit, because we are watering.
Is there a credit?
There's a yearly fee, so to have the irrigation system, that we know what the fee is, that we know how much.
The fee's paid to the village.
And the fee's paid to the
I
village.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I would like to look at maybe trying to figure out a way to offset some of these larger bills with a credit based upon that RPZ fee. that's due every year. That's just my thought. I'm open to some other things, but I mean, I think we can all say that a sewage bill that goes from $14 to $250, you know, from January reading to August readings, that's clearly that person's not, you know, running their water, you know, illegally, if it's set on a timer through the piece, you know, through that timer. I don't know, but that's just where I'm at on it. I think that we should look at trying to help the residents, even if it's just a little bit of money on these. They've invested in their property. They've invested money into to make their property look good, to have good curb appeal for our residents that drive through. You know, to give them back a few bucks somewhere, someplace. I think we can look into it. That's my stance on it.
I think we do have a conflict with the water conservation efforts though, because if we do give a credit, then we're encouraging more watering when we also have the opposite. You know, we're trying to encourage less and more water conservation, so.
Yeah, the more we pump.
I think we have a conflict.
Yeah, the more we pump, the larger the water towers have to be and the more wells they need. So we want to discourage additional pumpage. And, you know, for anybody that uses a sprinkler, a handheld sprinkler, they should be able to bring it in, just contest their bill or look for a credit, just like somebody that has an irrigation system.
Yeah, maybe I'm just off base on it. My recommendation is that if you have an irrigation system, it's zoned out time, so it's more beneficial to water conservation to run it off of a system. Also, a lot of these systems are set up so if it rains, they don't go off. So you're not using water when it's rained 5 inches or 10 inches like it just has. You know, they're set up with some of these technologies. You know, we're encouraging better water conservation by utilizing these systems. And you know, I understand water conservation is an important factor. I just don't think we should penalize people a higher bill to keep them from water conservation. I think that teaching them the rights and wrongs, and maybe even giving them citations for watering outside the city ordinance on it is something we can do. But I don't think a $250 bill to keep people from watering, that's not fair.
I don't know
So-
if we have consensus on this one.
After I'm hearing this, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the irrigation system numbers, do some research as far as just seeing what those averages are versus the high months. I'm also gonna do some community research around showing how much, or if anybody does it, if they do offer the watering credit as an irrigation systems, can anybody just come and prove it? And then I also will look at pool fillings through this year, just to see how many we actually get. To give you a number of like, are we only getting 5? Then it's not that big of a deal, but it'll give us some rough quantifiable numbers on RPZ and how much that could be if we're looking at credits on them, and seeing if any other communities that actually do give credits, how they do it. And see if I can have
And then,
information. Probably won't be for
not to make
9-2,
this
but
extraordinarily complicated, but then I think we'd also have to look at if those same villages that give the credit also have a water conservation ordinance, because, you know, and how they handle the conflict. I don't know if that even falls into Matt's realm.
it will. We'll figure it out.
May I just suggest something? I mean, you know, the bill here looks confusing. Look at it, I never understood that either. I mean, just for future reference, maybe where it says water usage, water maintenance dash basic
Yeah,
usage.
could
And
we
then,
clarify?
and then, you know, water maintenance and then dash flat fee, just people understand this. It's just idea.
No, I'm laughing because, Sean, you remember, we changed this because people thought the last time we had it was confusing, so we tried to break it out even more because they didn't understand what the base charges were versus the usage charges.
Yeah.
So.
Is there a way to clarify it more?
As
Because there's
being a maintenance is
confusion.
flat versus usage is variable.
Yeah, or even
I
a
guess.
note on the bill of why there is 2 sewer charges. I don't know if that's possible, but I think residents would understand. Because I'm also getting questions about the road fee on the bills. But we'll address that at budget time.
Great.
Not a today issue.
I will see what we can add to the bills. It's very limited, but I can see what
Okay.
what we can change as far as the billing item name,
Okay.
so at least maybe change something
Yeah,
that says
for the
flat
last one.
versus variable, I guess. So, yeah, I don't know that this will be back for the next meeting, but
It
the
is.
16th I'll have at
Okay.
least something, because the survey will take a little bit to
Okay.
get that back, but I should have something back for the 16th.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Is there any other discussion?
And, the other items?
All right, at this time, we'll have staff, trustee, and president's reports. First, we have administration department, Scott Koppel.
Thank you. Just wanted to thank the library. They've been very accommodating, having us having our meetings here, getting the room set up early, and then allowing us and really come over here a few times to get this done. So big thanks to the library. They're a great partner, and if you get here early, go peruse if you get here early for the meeting. Anything else? Happy to answer questions.
All right, finance department, Matt Anastasia.
Just highlight that all the audits and actuaries are now complete after that. And also just make sure everyone saw we did get our tax incentive for the solar field. So we don't have to hold our breath anymore, and we're gonna get it from the IRS. So we have received that in cash immediately.
Could I go back to Scott? I have a question. Scott, will you be showing us a copy or a rough draft of the newsletter before it goes out?
We just sent one the other day.
Oh, okay. I did see it. Okay. I would maybe, I don't know. We can talk about it.
Tracy probably could send it out, and then if anyone wants to add it or modify anything, then
Yeah, just a draft. But it was good. I don't know how you photoshopped the background of our picture.
She's the wizard.
She is the wizard.
That was scary. But it was so well done. I was like, we weren't there. So nice to have it there. Thank
Scott,
you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Scott, I had a quick question. Are we still getting the same amount of FOIA requests?
We're it's peaks. It's not like critical mass like right around when the hearings were happening and all that, but we do still get a fair amount of FOIA requests. I could go pull up, but we probably get again not at the peak when we were going through the Crown hearings, but we still get a fair amount of them. Yes, I could pull a number and give a next meeting. I'll provide a year to date on where we're at with FOIAs.
Okay.
Happy to do that.
I was just curious, you had that on your last thing about.
Oh, it has not, definitely not stopped, and we still occasionally get calls from the AG, and then I had a call with them the other day about some specifics related to a FOIA that came in and that. So it's a ever-present thing that we're working on, and Maddie's been getting very, very good at those, and then we have Amalia from the team of facility that helps us out when needed from a legal perspective. So solid team, but it's still a lot of work.
Community Development Department, Danny Marianne.
The only thing I'd like to add is that Truvet has opened for business now. I believe they're having a grand opening Thursday.
Thank you. Police Department, Chief of Police Pat Rollins.
I just wanted to say thank you again to the board. And just thinking about what transpired tonight on this come to fruition, and I also wanted to say thank you to the entire staff that's partnered along with us to make sure that this has moved us forward. So this obviously the storm that happened this past weekend was great teamwork between all the departments working together, making sure that the coordination after hours we're still in touch with one another and each filling in a bunch of gaps. So and last I want to thank Public Works for helping us make the transition from the police department to the new temporary police department. They have been working so hard, besides doing their normal functions, just to get us moved. And I guess, if you think about moving out of a house, think about moving out of a commercial property. It's insane. I just asked the architects in the hallway there, I need some more days to get out of the police department, because obviously the storm still place and we're still trying to keep this going. So I just appreciate everything that the board has done, the staff has done to support it.
Thank you. Public Works Department, Brad Merkel.
I just want to thank my staff for their good response. I think they worked very hard over the weekend and last night with some power outages and stuff like that, and coordinated with Chief. It just goes well. And then the Sugar Grove Township also, they helped push a couple trees out when they were on their way to some of their stuff. So we also worked together with them very well too. So we're hopeful we'll have it all cleaned up by the end of the week.
I have to say, we received so many compliments from residents, both the police and Public Works. You did amazing, and the community is very happy.
Yes. I had a couple quick questions.
Mhm.
One, I'm not sure if you're the one, but are we doing a brush pickup for the village?
So we're doing storm cleanup this week,
Okay.
south of 30, Monday through Wednesday. So tomorrow's the last day for that. And then the rest of the week we'll go north. And then I'm gonna make one more pass through the entire town next week.
Okay.
I'm not sure what day, probably toward the end of the week to give the residents some more time, because they're gonna find stuff, you know, so.
Yep, appreciate that, that's much appreciated. The other question I had, I saw a lot of stuff on social media, questions, and I wanted to see if you could help clarify about, some water on the Crown property as they were doing the mass grading. Some people were saying, oh, they hit some water main, or they hit water so many feet down, or is it just because of the grading and we had a whole bunch of rain? Do you have any?
It's my belief it's
clarity?
mostly grading and rain. The contractor had some undercuts that they had performed. It filled in with the 1 inch of rain last week, and then now another 7 this week, so. They were pumping it. We received correspondence from Kane County today and the Forest Preserve, and I actually received a phone call from the EPA today.
Ah.
That they were out to the site, and I don't believe they found any violations, so.
That's good news, excellent.
And then, Crown does something different than a lot of developers. They'll put the SWIP plan maintenance and inspection after rainstorms, they'll put it on the excavator. So for like J&S, who's on this job, they hire NCAP, who's an environmental company, to take care of that for them. So
Okay.
it was put up by DeJoa or something, the silt fence, but now NCAP was out there. Actually, the owner was out there yesterday, did an inspection too, so.
Okay, excellent.
There was,
Yeah.
on that issue, I had asked the Forest Preserve, for the agreement. I did not have the agreement, and I wanted to read it. In talking to the manager of, I'm not even sure what his title is, manager of the Forest Preserve, he has a slightly different title. He had said that they were accepting runoff and they are accepting stormwater but not groundwater. That's sort of an ongoing issue because we do not have soil borings to show where the level of the groundwater is. So I had some concern about village liability there. So that's something our attorney is still addressing. And then in future engineering plans, when we look at and approve those, we have to verify that groundwater is not getting sent over to the Forest Preserve. Trustee London. Oh, I'm so sorry, Trustee Lundy, sorry.
I attended the library board meeting on July 23rd. They were looking at trying to do an online community calendar. Cupola repairs, I think, were coming this month. I don't know if they're done finished or not.
They were working on it today.
Yeah. They're looking at a new logo, and those were, I believe they have the welcome bags out, so when someone comes, they have welcome bags they put out. Mario's got a cleanup scheduled for the 23rd. be prepared for poison ivy, so dress appropriately. I attended the ribbon cutting for Between Friends Food Pantry, which is very nice. It was near and dear to me and my Girl Scout troop that we volunteered at a lot. I was in, let's see, Cornwall Parade. President Stillwell and I won the corn shucking contest.
It's under review.
We have the trophy.
So I believe that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Trustee London.
Volunteered at the Cornwall, as was noted earlier. Also attended the ribbon cutting for the food pantry. That's it.
Trustee Special.
It's been stated, but again, kudos staff, departments, our partner agencies. I know it's a lot of coordination, a lot of work, overnight hours, clearing streets, and that. Just to thank everybody for storm cleanup and the extra effort that it takes to accomplish what they do.
Thank you. Trustee Michael.
Let's see, I'd like to request that we look at installing a sign, a village sign, in cooperation with the Library Township Park District at the northwest corner of Bliss and Denny. If you didn't know Cornwall is going on through, being at meetings like this, you didn't know anything was going on up on the north end of the village. So I think getting a sign, a community sign up there would be good. And I think it takes some research by a sign company to see if the setback and if people would be able to read it coming over the bridge. So if we could work or talk about it or work with staff to look into that. And then there was a great turnout for Groovin' in the Grove a couple weeks ago. A good turnout for the Chamber Golf outing. And then that's about it. Oh, I'd like to see if staff could look into getting some village apparel. A couple of our new trustees and our village president don't have any clothing that's got the logo on it. So.
Very soon.
Okay.
Tracy and I are working on it.
Trustee Roscoe.
I attended the Chamber Golf outing. It was quite a few people over there. It was a good turnout.
Thank you. Trustee Bonnie.
Nothing this evening.
For the president report, I have a few things. Number one, I was thinking about what Trustee Bonnie said earlier for future planning commissioners. I am going to continue to try to find you the perfect person. I may not be able to interview them all in person. I've had I've worked full time, and then I've had morning meetings and afternoon meetings and after work meetings. So I will certainly do my best, but whoever I bring, I will have come here. And then if you could all have questions ready to get to know this person as well. And then, in addition, I would just ask, that I not be expected to nominate someone that is a friend or a family member of someone on the board. I don't think that's unreasonable. I'm trying to find another, community member. Other items, I went with Scott and Becky today. We went to the Canopy Giant Steps program for adults with autism. It was phenomenal, and they mentioned that they fund most of their programming through donations. They have a Rock Your Socks walk, which is a 5K walk on October 25th. And we were thinking it would be really great if we could get a village team together, and everybody that is able to participate together, especially since it's just such a gem in our community. I'm also was invited to be the bingo caller at Chelsea Commons tomorrow at 6 p.m. Any trustees that would like to come are invited. And we are working on a flower pot painting program the Beautification and Gardening Committee in conjunction with the chamber. Unfortunately, it got rained out this week, but we will be rescheduling that. And Spring Bluff Nursery has offered to have a class for our volunteers in the spring. So we'll have volunteers that learn to plant the pots, and then we'll have them around the village. So that'll be nice. And that's all I have. With no further business to discuss, can I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Wait, we have a first from trustee Special and a second from, I think, trustee Michaels, was it? Trustee Michaels. And the meeting is now adjourned.
Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Aye.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay?
Aye.
Trustee Ronnie?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
Trustee Russell?
And the meeting is now adjourned at 9:28. Thank you.